Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into Ben and Woods. Of course, you're not hearing the voice of Woods. If you were listening earlier this week, you know he is off to his baseball tournament in Arizona. But I am here. I am Ben, and sitting to my left, our executive producer, elevated to full co-host for the day. Not that you're not really a full co-host every day. Sometimes you can take segments off to work on, cool audio and stuff while Woods and I talk. But for the most part, full co-host, Paul Reindl. Good morning, Paul.
A little bit more difficult to do all that today, but
Yes.
All good. Happy to be here. How are you, Benny?
You have a lot of hats to wear. Well, you have a lot of literal hats.
I do. I actually got the total. Somebody asked me not that long ago. I think Woods asked, how many hats do you think you have? He's like, I'm not judging. How many hats? I'm like, I don't know, 30 maybe. And a lot of them are golf hats that I only wear on the golf course. So when we were moving a few weeks back, I had all the hats. I was putting them up, and I counted them out. 37 hats.
I would say that I have at least 37 hats. Now, most of them I never wear and probably should just throw away and got for free somewhere and have no interest in having them. Your hats are probably
most
curated.
Or purchased, purchased with intent.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do have a good amount of golf hats, but even those, they're nice hats. I just probably won't wear my Callaway golf hat randomly unless I'm out on the golf course.
When was the last time you were out on the golf course, by the way?
It's been a couple months.
Yeah, that's where I'm heading after the show today. Going to play a couple of days of golf with my buddy, which means everybody in the chat asking, is this the last show of the week? Yes and no.
Kind of.
Tomorrow and Friday. We've got something new. Paulie's been putting together a little best of Ben and Woods content that's going to air from 6 to 8 a.m. Hey, if you haven't heard it yet, it's new to you. And if you have, you probably enjoyed it, and that's why it's the best of. So my guess is it'll be a fairly entertaining first couple of hours, and then to make sure that we are covering everything that's going on, Padres managerial search, the World Series starting on Friday. Sam Levitt's going to come in from 8 to 10 to do a little live and local as well. So you kind of get the best of both worlds the next couple of days, and we should have a good show for you today as well. Before we get to that, though, I have not heard from Woods last night. Did you hear from him after? I don't even know that he got to Arizona.
I guess I don't technically know.
I know
after
he was on his
got
way.
to Gila Bend, and we'll get to that in just a second. After he got to Gila Bend, I don't know that we heard from him the rest of the night.
I don't, which worries me slightly. I'm sure he's fine. Hopefully he had a relaxing, quiet evening and is sleeping in this morning at his Airbnb, getting ready for his first game later today in his adult baseball tournament on the fields. They use the real spring training fields as well, like Tempe Diablo Stadium, where the Angels have their spring training complex. So it's pretty fun. Like when you guys go to fantasy camp and get to play at the fields of Peoria.
Even Peoria backfield number 6 is the most pristine, beautiful baseball field that you've ever stepped onto. It's pretty outstanding. And so they get to play at all of the different complexes throughout Arizona.
Now we do miss Woods. We miss the drama that he brings on a daily basis. Is it nice to sometimes not have the daily drama of Woods just for a few minutes? But we'll miss it in a couple of minutes. No complaining about printers this morning.
No.
That became a thing in the office yesterday. Adam had to address the whole, why doesn't Woods have access to the printer issue? There was probably meetings somewhere. There was discussions. Does anyone know why Woods doesn't have access to the printer?
Are the morning divas complaining about printer access?
I got lumped into all of it. I'm going I didn't complain about any of this. I'm on emails going, you should be having access with your printer. Now, I don't care. I don't print anything out. It's only Woods who was complaining about not having access to the printer. And ultimately, he probably always did have access to the printer. He just doesn't know how to use it.
That's kind of where I fell under. I was for the record, because you said you're I've never actually tried to print anything, so I don't even know if I have access.
Exactly.
And I said, I've never really had a problem outside of a technical issue with the printer itself. I've never really had an issue, so I wouldn't rule out user error.
No, and that is confirmed yesterday on his road trip. The last time we heard from Woods, as you mentioned.
This is amazing, everybody.
When he was on his pit stop in Gila Bend, Arizona, on his way to Phoenix. Mr. should not be so old that he doesn't know how to use fairly common technology. But as you know, cars and the clocks in your cars Some of them adjust on their own when you go across, state lines, time zones. Others do not. You have to manually adjust them. Woods was very confused. Do you have what he actually texted to us? Because I thought I needed to save it. It was pretty hilarious yesterday.
Yeah, let's see here. He texted us and he said at 2:24 p.m. said in Gila Bend, they are an hour ahead right now. Weird.
We said we had this discussion yesterday.
Probably 3 times in the last 48 hours, we explained to him, yes, sometimes in the year.
Arizona is in the mountain time zone, but they don't go on daylight savings. So when we are on daylight savings, California and Arizona are the same time. We told Woods yesterday, you don't need to change your clock. But he seemed to think that when he was in Gila Bend,
reminded him at least 3 times.
Yes.
We're no, daylight savings time is in 2 weeks. When we go out in January and February, yes, we'll be an hour ahead then, but not right now. We're on the same time zone.
He was in some sort of the bubble that just in Gila Bend, they decided to go on to daylight savings or something, and he was an hour ahead.
I know parts of the country, like Arizona, the reason they don't do that, it's because of farming and agriculture. So I thought maybe Gila Bend is its own little city and its own doing their own thing, playing by their own rules.
There are some weird places in the world that do half hours, they're a half hour ahead, islands in the Pacific that
I hadn't heard of that in Arizona.
Very weird time zones, but I had not heard about anything that Gila Bend was on its own time zone. But Wood says no, here they're an hour ahead.
2:24 p.m. in Gila Bend. He says in Gila Bend they're an hour ahead right now. Weird. And I go, they are? Phoenix definitely is not, because I went and looked just to make sure. Again, I said, Phoenix definitely is not, so that would be weird. He goes, yeah, my clock's moved up. It's 2:26 here. And I said, it's 2:26 in San Diego as well. And Woods just wrote, WTF. Ben says, well, there's foreplay for tomorrow. And Woods goes, I swear to God, my effing car clock switched. And I just said, was your clock an hour behind for the last 6 months?
He doesn't even know.
Have you been an hour early everywhere you've gone?
It definitely jumped ahead by 1 minute every minute you were driving, apparently, which is how clocks are supposed to work.
I think some cars can the clock will automatically switch over. Some you have to manually still enter it in if you change time zones. I get that. Or if daylight savings time. But his phone should have switched over.
It shouldn't have switched over because it's the same time.
Oh,
nothing
changed.
Right.
He should be able to look at his phone and I don't know. Sometimes, again, there was no time change, so it doesn't matter. But sometimes you get into Yuma and it maybe takes a few minutes
because you're still pinging off.
It still thinks you're in California.
Yeah.
That would make sense. He's in Gila Bend. He's 2 hours past the Arizona border.
His clock never changed, other than the actual, minute by minute change it's supposed to change, and he was still somehow confused as to what time it was in Arizona. That's dealing with Woods, though, for you. Hopefully the road trip went well. I've got my own coming up today. Paul, you were telling me before the show, you feel like you're an elite road tripper. Why is that?
I think I'm an elite road tripper. I think if I'm doing the driving, whether I'm solo or with anybody else, we get there in good amount of time, safe, have a good trip out there every single time. Driven with you guys to Arizona, we've always had a good time. I've driven you both while you slept most of the drive home from Arizona.
That was a solid job. I'm usually the driver at road trips. That was one of the rare times that
I bring good conversation. I enjoy road trips.
See, now most of my road trips are solo at this point, which I enjoy. I enjoy just being alone with my thoughts. I do like to plan out. Do you plan out your stops as much as I do?
Yeah, I guess.
I am very
most
specific.
of my drives have been just to Arizona and back as far as long road trips. I've done Seattle and San Diego several times. That sucks. And you definitely have to plan out your trips that way.
But I know people will say, I'll stop in Yuma for gas, or I'll stop here or there.
I know when I drive out to Peoria, I'm stopping, or if I'm with Woods or you guys, we're stopping in Yuma to stretch the legs, get some gas. We're stopping in Gila Bend, probably to get some more gas, just to get to Phoenix, stretch the legs out, and then we're there.
I will go a step further, though. I have already looked at my gas tank mileage, how much I have left, and planned how far that can get me along the road, and then searched for the cheapest gas stations that will be on the right side of the road on my way northward on my road trip to find the absolute most efficient but cheapest gas stop on my way up the 15 or 215 freeway to Las Vegas. In this case, it will be the Costco gas station off Clinton Keith Road in the Menifee Rancho, not Rancho Cucamonga, but the Menifee Murrieta kind of area there. I've already planned that out. You know,
Costco on the right side.
Right side, yeah. You don't want to have to turn off to the left side.
So what if there was
freeway.
Gas that was like $3.50 a gallon on the right side, but $3.40
so
if you have to cross the overpass?
There is a calculus. Obviously, the further off the freeway, it has to be much, much cheaper. You're looking for the best combination of price and proximity to the freeway on the right side. Now, will you cross over the freeway for a 25 cents less a gallon? Yes. Will you cross over for 5 cents less a gallon? No.
I was going to ask, what's your number?
No, it's about like 10 to 25 cents a gallon. You can start edging a little bit further from the freeway for a better price.
I used to think like that. I remember even like when I got my license, like in my neighborhood, there was a intersection with 4 corners, and there were gas stations on 3 of the 4 corners. And I go, well, that one's 6 cents cheaper. I should just go to that one.
Paul asked, why don't I just fill up here before I get on the freeway?
That's what I would do.
Because then I can just go on one tank all the way, which is true. But then I will run out of gas faster on the back end, and we'll have to get gas sooner.
Get gas
on the way back.
Henderson before you leave and come home.
Well, that's also part of it, because any good road tripper knows from California, if you're leaving the state and going to Arizona or Nevada, you do want to make sure you plan to fill up before crossing back into state lines, because you are going to get a much better price in another state than you are in California due to our higher gas taxes here. So it is worth stopping, even if you're only, say, half a tank left. Make sure you stop.
But you're stopping in Menifee.
Well, I can't get to, unfortunately, I don't have enough gas in my tank to get across state lines, so I'm going to have to fill up in California. There's no.
So if you have to get gas in California, this is what I would do. I would just fill up right down the street from here. Enough, even half a tank, enough to get to Nevada, whatever that takes for your car, then fill up once you get there. If you're already going to stop and get gas in California, I just would get it at the start of my trip. And
still, I feel like I'm adding more potential gas stops. I don't know how much I'll be driving necessarily once I get there, so I'll have to reevaluate when I get to the end of my trip on Saturday. Like, okay, where am I gas-wise? And I will replan on the way back where to stop for gas exactly, where to stop for food, and make all those, potential choices, because I like to know what my plan is when I get behind the wheel, which is what I think makes me a very good road tripper. But I usually keep these thoughts to myself.
Your speed is what makes you not a great road tripper.
Now, that's a personal preference. I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. I, would like to get there safely. I know you say you always get there safely, but the faster you drive, certainly the inverse proportionality to your, potential safety hazards on the drive. So
I just think about one of our last trips out to Arizona. We took 2 cars. I drove solo. You and Woods rode together. And I know I beat you guys. Like, I gave you a 20-minute head start, and I still got to Peoria like a solid 45 minutes before you guys.
It's fine. I know that I don't drive as fast as some other people.
And I wasn't doing like 200 miles an hour.
I get it. I understand this. I understand this is true. So anyway, let's get our first check of traffic here. I think Foreplay doesn't go as well without Woods. We always knew this. Paul and I actually stress mostly about I think the rest of the show is going to be really good today. But Paul and I actually stress about Foreplay because Woods
we've got great guests.
He's the king of Foreplay.
Some good segments planned, a lot of good content to get to. It's always Foreplay, which earlier in the year when we switched it to like a one long 25-minute segment instead of 2 shorter segments with a commercial break in between, that was all Woods' idea, which I think it's a good idea when we're all here. When he's not here and doesn't have like great T-ball stories or something, he takes just a little nugget of information and he can spin it into these wild, ridiculous stories that only happen to him. And so when he's out, we always, you and I are just texting. And we're like, what do you got for foreplay? I watched a scary movie yesterday. Planning for my trip.
I know. Because we're normal people, I think that's the difference. But let's check traffic. We'll pull the plug, pull the ripcord on Foreplay, and we'll set the menu for what we've got coming up. Again, good show on a Wednesday since we've kind of condensed the rest of our week into one day. Lots of stuff to get to before 10 o'clock this morning. Do that after Kelly's traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. Good morning, guys. Off to a pretty good start on our freeways. No big surprises to deal with this morning. Stalled vehicle has cleared from Cesar Chavez Parkway off-ramp southbound 5. We are seeing quite a bit of volume on the Coronado Bridge heading over to the island. Toyota of Poway has been voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today, with APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event, happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotaofpoway.com in the heart of San Diego. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ray in the chat says Pujols is probably listening this morning, guys.
Good morning, Albert.
It is a
Big
possibility, at least. This is the day Albert Pujols will interview to become the next manager of the San Diego Padres. So, Albert, if you're listening out there, a lot of managers do listen to this program, as we've learned over the years. Maybe that is the key to getting hired, is starting to listen to Ben and Woods in the morning. So we would hope that if you get the job, you can become a regular Tier 1, and we will chat with you regularly on the air, as we've done with the last few managers here.
If you get the job, we'll get you a Ben and Woods t-shirt out at spring training.
We will.
What size is he? He's probably like 3X, right? He's a big boy.
Yeah, but he's not. I mean, he's still well built, though. We saw him at Petco Park earlier this year, and he hasn't let himself go, let's say, after his playing career. Some guys,
his baseball reference page has him at 6'3", 235. That was his playing weight.
See, now I'm 6'4", 235 range. So Albert Pujols and I are in the same
You guys
neighborhood.
are basically the same
We're basically the same person,
yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Feel like he has more muscle mass, perhaps, out of that, but that's speculation on my part. Either way, good luck to Albert Pujols with the interview process. I imagine it will be detailed and thorough.
I always want to know what the Padres courting process looks like. We've talked about it over the years, when Shohei was a free agent, last year with Roki, when he was making all his visits. I think we even did a segment where we're like, all right, if you're AJ Preller or John, whoever's running the show, like I assume it's AJ, like, what's your pitch? How do you sell San Diego and the Padres? Where are you taking him? Where are we eating? Like, I know Roki, then a bunch of players show up to Manny's house in Coronado for some nice seafood dinner or something. Like, I'm just curious, how do you sell San Diego to somebody that you're trying to sign?
It's interesting because with a manager, they're trying to get hired. So they're trying to sell themselves to you. Although I would say it kind of depends on the candidate. Brian Esposito interviewed on Monday. I doubt there was much wooing done by the
Chili's.
I doubt there was much wooing done by the Padres. Brian's going to explain why he thinks he's he's the right guy for the job. Going to maintain, I'm sure, a lot of what good Mike Schilt has brought in as his bench coach. He knows everything. He knows all the procedures. We're probably not going to change much. It's a good argument. I don't know that there's a bunch of other teams that are interviewing him. With Albert Pujols, though, he may have his choice of a couple of managerial gigs. We know that the Angels are no longer interested. They actually hired a manager. We'll talk about that coming up at 7 o'clock. But there are other teams that are potentially interviewing Albert Pujols. So it's not simply, Albert, what can you do for the Padres? As you said, Paulie, it's also, why are the Padres the right fit for Albert Pujols? And I imagine you do have to tailor your interviews specifically to different candidates, depending on whether they're looking at other places as well. Are you selling yourself, or are they selling themselves, or is it a combination of the both? You're looking for the ideal fit, the guy who wants to be here and the guy that you think is the right guy for your roster and will take you hopefully to where you want to go, and that's a World Series championship. So Albert Pujols in town today. If you see him, say hi, tell him, hey, your favorite radio program, Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan, and he should become a Tier 1 once he is hired, if he is hired, as manager of the San Diego Padres. We've also got the World Series Game 1 coming up on Friday in Toronto. And joining us coming up in our next segment at the bottom of the hour from The Athletic and the Sports Media Podcast. He moved to Toronto many years ago and has become an adopted son of the city of Toronto, north of the border. One of my favorites. Richard Deitsch is going to be with us and join us a little bit to talk Toronto and the run to the World Series, just what the atmosphere right now is like in that city as they get ready for Game 1 on Friday night against the LA Dodgers. In our 7 o'clock hour, as I mentioned, we'll talk about the Angels hire and the drama that is also going on behind the scenes with the lawsuit that was filed by the family of Tyler Skaggs. Remember the pitcher who died of a fentanyl overdose a few years ago, and his family suing both the Angels and their former media person, Eric Kay, who's in jail for providing him with the fentanyl that caused him to overdose and die. And Mike Trout was actually on the stand yesterday as part of the trial. We're going to talk about what's going on with the Angels right now.
Yeah, I saw that proceedings were ongoing again, and Mike Trout had testified. I didn't really read a whole lot into it yesterday because I got to be honest, it's such a dark story. There's part of me that just kind of wanted to avoid it right now. Like, I remember when it happened. It's been going on for what, 6 years now, 5-6 years.
It's been a while. Yeah,
it's been a little while. So I just wasn't totally sure why it was all in the news again. I saw
the legal
that
system moves slowly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but I would love a full Ben-splanation on what's going on.
I can do that.
Adam sent some text over to us. Like, he goes, Mike Trout's like going to bring down the entire Angels franchise with his testimony. I go, what the hell happened?
We will talk about it coming up at 7 o'clock. I'll do my best to Ben-splain for you, Paulie, why this is not at all good for the Los Angeles Angels. I'm sure you know it. There's really no chance it was going to look good, but It doesn't look good for the Angels right now. 7:30, we're going to move up from Friday. Our friend Darren Smith's going to join us. Didn't want to miss out on him with SDFC getting ready for their first playoff game in franchise history coming up on Sunday. We'll also talk to Darren about our interview with Eric Grupner and what he said about AJ Preller. We had a big conversation with him about that last Friday. So Darren's going to be with us a little earlier at 7:30 this morning. And then in the second half of Ben and Woods, we got our Padres Smörgåsbord at 8:35. The topic today is an interesting one. AJ Preller, presumably sticking around as general manager of the Padres, oftentimes has active off seasons. Last one was not as active when it came to trades, but is there anyone currently on the roster that you think could potentially be a trade chip for AJ Preller this offseason? If you had to pick one person that you thought, all right, he might be dealt by AJ this offseason. I'm talking about on the 40-man big league players. I'm not talking about minor leaguers like he always does. I'm talking about, is there anyone that you think is going to be part of the team next year that might not be? Because AJ could surprise us and trade them in the offseason. We'll talk about that in our
couple of names that come to mind.
I've got like 4 on my list right now.
Wow.
They could be at least potentially, I'd imagine will be at least talked about by other teams.
Yes, the way you operate. Adrian Morahone, Mason Miller. Who else? You want to trade Fernando? You always want to trade Jake.
You got a couple of the names right, a couple of them wrong. We'll get into it at 8:35. And then on our 9 o'clock hour, one more guest that we're moving up. Eno Sarris from The Athletic will get his Smart Baseball preview of the World Series coming up at 9:35. I'll guest on Ben and Woods, appear on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We'll have our regular features. Don't do this. We'll do real or fake today as well, since we're moving things up. It'll be like a throwback Thursday on a Wednesday and a Reindl Report in our 9 o'clock hour as well. So like I said, busy show. We got to get to it. We've got Richard Deitsch joining us from Toronto to talk about the start of the World Series north of the border. That is coming up right after our first time out here with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If Woods were here right now, though, he'd say, get a trust or will, because you don't want to end up in probate court. I've been saying it as well since the start of the year when Woods and I went through the process at trustandwill.com and each got our own estate documents for the first time in our lives. In our late 40s, hadn't taken care of it. We were being negligent, irresponsible. we were putting it off. We were procrastinating because, well, who wants to think about their estate documents? It's kind of a grim subject, but once you get it done, and trustandwill.com helps you get it done quickly and affordably, then you don't have to think about it anymore. You've got the documents for your family. Hopefully you don't need them for a long time, but they're in your safe or you're in a filing cabinet somewhere. They will take them out, hopefully, in a long time when they do need them. When you go to trustandwill.com, you'll be guided through the process online, answering some simple questions. At the end, you can have a real trust, which can keep you out of probate court, help your family get access to your assets immediately after you're gone, not waiting months with an expensive legal process. And make sure when you go to trustandwill.com, you use the code radio20 at checkout. They're already affordable prices. Take 20% off of those when you're getting a trust or a will. There's really no reason not to do this. You don't have to go to a lawyer's office. It's really simple. Just go to trustandwill.com. Use code radio20 at checkout to get the discount at trustandwill.com.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Humul Casino Resort, now open.
Our 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by IHOP. Introducing the IHOP Value Menu, where all your breakfast faves are just $6 each every day. Where else can you get a big, filling sit-down breakfast for only $6? Go to your Happy Plates with the $6 IHOP Value Menu. Available every day at IHOP, $7 in some locations. Good timing here on our Richard Deitsch conversation that's coming up momentarily. He just dropped a piece this morning in The Athletic as their sports media columnist about the return of the NBA to NBC last night. Paulie, you caught the end of the first game. I watched most of the second half, which was a terrific opening game of the NBA season. Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder, double overtime. The Thunder, the defending champs, ended up winning it 125-124. Got star performances on both sides. Kevin Durant's debut with the Rockets had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back to defend his MVP award, looking great. Alperen Şengün. The Rockets are going to be a force this year. You could just tell after the first game. Really good game. Doubleheader then. You had the Lakers and the Warriors. Luka was fantastic. 42 points, nearly a triple-double, but not enough supporting cast. And Steph Curry still doing his thing at age 37, hitting big shots and putting the Lakers to sleep in the fourth quarter as the Warriors got a win in Game 2. But it was the much-anticipated return of the NBA to NBC. They had the doubleheader last night, and Richard had some thoughts on the broadcast, production. Michael Jordan's first appearance back on television. It's been a long time since we've seen Mike on TV doing something like that, sitting down with Mike Tirico. So we will talk to Richard Deitsch about all of that. He is getting online right now. We'll get to him right after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. He reports of a crash now on southbound 125 right at the eastbound King Freeway connector ramp. A couple vehicles involved in that. Fortunately, no other incidents or accidents to mention. Toyota of Poway has been voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today with APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotaofpoway.com in the heart of San Diego. I'm Kelly Danik with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, it's the U.S. versus Canada in the World Series this year, and I saw it suggested yesterday that the United States will be firmly behind one team in this World Series, Toronto, because, well, I don't know, most of America, if you're not a Dodgers fan, you probably hate the Dodgers and love the story of the Toronto Blue Jays. And joining us right now from Toronto, an adopted son of Toronto, he's been tweeting about the city and for years, and we just thought, what a great time to talk to Richard Deitsch from The Athletic, the sports media podcast, about what's going on in that city. It's been a while since you've been on Ben & Woods. It's good to have you back on, Richard. How you been?
I've been good. I just want you to know, just based on geopolitical relations, this guest appearance will cost you guys an extra 25%.
The tariffs hitting hard from Canada to the United States. Well, how excited is the city? I mean, it's been 1993, the last time the Blue Jays were in the World Series, and compared to the other sports like hockey and the NBA, where does baseball kind of sit in the pantheon of Toronto sports?
Yeah, so it's electric. I mean, I think, and that's probably, that's something that crosses over borders. When you have a team that makes a final, the city really, really gets into it. It obviously helps businesses. It raises the economic power of a city. The interesting thing about the Blue Jays, and this makes them very, very unique when it comes to maybe any professional sports team, is while they're based in Toronto, they really are the country's team. Because there's no other Major League Baseball team in Canada. Obviously, the Expos left in 2004. And the other thing that's unique about them is the fact that the Blue Jays still have their home broadcast that plays to the entire country, where obviously everybody in America has to watch Fox now when it comes to the World Series. Sportsnet, which is the rights holder for the Blue Jays, they have the rights to broadcast the games. So for Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, they had an average of 6 million Canadians watching, and their peak was a little under 9 million. Now think about this. The entire population of Canada is 41 million. So at one point of that game, you had roughly 1/4 or a little more than a little less than a quarter of the country watching the end of that game when George Springer homered. So it is a massive, massive thing here. I would expect for it to bring a new generation of baseball fans, a lot of young kids who are watching that now. So it's the biggest story for sure in Toronto. And I'd probably argue, at least when we get to Friday, it'll be the biggest story in the country. It's not just a city thing, it's a country thing.
So you're saying that if you live in Canada, you don't have to listen to Joe Davis bloviate about the Dodgers for the entire series. My co-host is off today, Woodsy. Just can't stand the voice of Joe Davis at all. Now, we're Padres fans. There's a rivalry here. And the fact that he also calls the national games, I think, gets under the skin of a lot of people. Woods does is Joe Davis talking about the Dodgers. He's probably going to move to Canada, Paulie, now that he knows he can go to another country and does not have to listen to that Fox broadcast of the World Series. Yeah. What do you think of Joe anyway? You're a sports media critic.
Yeah, he's welcome. He can. We have an extra room here, so he's welcome to stay in the upper deck. I think Joe Davis is a quality broadcaster.
He's fine.
Do I think he's Vince Scully? No, but I think he does a quality job.
I don't think he's Joe Buck either, but
no, but I think people, this is the sort of thing with Joe Buck. I think Joe Buck for a long time took a lot of abuse, probably because of the fact that he was Jack Buck's son. People thought he was sort of handed plum jobs before he should have been. But I think he eventually grinded to the point where you really respected him as a baseball voice. And I think he was an excellent baseball broadcaster. I think Joe Davis is good. I mean, again, as someone who has really watched far too much televised sports in my life, you can go around baseball, and I promise you there are far worse broadcasters than Joe Davis, way over the top stuff. The thing I appreciate about Joe Davis is I do think he goes way out of his way when he calls the Dodgers nationally not to be a homer. And I think in this one, there's going to be a lot of people listening with some ears, like, are you favoring the Dodgers and all? And I wouldn't expect it. I think he'll call it down the middle. That said, literally, unless you are like a diehard fan of Fox Sports programming, there's going to be almost nobody in the country of Canada watching the Fox
Interesting.
broadcast. They'll be with Dan Schulman, who's known in America for college basketball and stuff, and Buck Martinez, who's a longtime broadcaster up here, longtime former player. And they are a very, very good broadcast team. The one thing that the Blue Jays fans have been very fortunate is they get essentially a national quality local broadcast team in Buck Martinez, Dan Schulman, and Hazel May. So they've done a very good job.
Yeah, we're talking to Richard Deitsch from The Athletic and the Sports Media Podcast. He's in Toronto. How many years have you been in Toronto now?
8. I mean,
years.
it's they've actually allowed me to stay in the country. So I'm proof that diplomacy works.
Now you had a post a few weeks ago that I saw on social media, Richard. It was the regular season finale in Toronto, and you said something along the lines of bought tickets to the final game of the season, we all assumed it was going to be Vladdy's last game here in Toronto. Boy,
Right.
How things have changed. Like, what a ride this has been for the Toronto Blue Jays. Has this been a long time coming for you guys? Like, you've been knocking on the door, but did you think this was ever going to happen? World Series bound?
No, I mean, if you look, first of all, that was pure dumb luck. I remember my wife and I buying tickets. We're like, it'd be fun to take the kids to the last game of the year to say goodbye to Vladdy, who's obviously going to end up with the Yankees or the Red Sox. I'm like, just total dumb luck. Like that game actually meant something. No, I think Blue Jays, if you look at, just if you want to even use Vegas, just look at the odds at the beginning of the year for the Blue Jays. They were coming off a terrible year. I mean, a really hard team to watch, listless, in fact, and nobody expected this. I bet you their World Series odds, I bet you they were like 21st or 22nd in terms of all baseball teams sort of heading into the year. And for whatever reason, the collection of some guys who were not necessarily on the radar of other teams, and in many times had even been like released and stuff, it just worked. I mean, guys like Ernie Clement, Nathan Lucas, Miles Straw, Eric Lauer, these are not household baseball names, but they have had massive, massive seasons for the Blue Jays. Addison Barger, guy who basically was, not necessarily the best prospect by any means in the organization, came up this year and pretty much carried him for 3 weeks. And then obviously George Springer, who I think if you would have talked to some Blue Jays beat writers in February, they were thinking he might have been DFA'd. He had a really bad year last year. He all of a sudden just sort of found some fountain of youth stuff. And then late in the year, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has just fulfilled the promise that everybody sort of thought he would. He essentially has carried them in the playoffs. And he even had for him, I would say a little bit of an above average year, but by no means some kind of Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh year. So they got hot at the right time. And, I'm not always the biggest believer in sort of chemistry, because I think a lot of times sports organizations can sort of BS us on, this team's tight, we're all tight. And then, you read 4 years later that some guy was sleeping with another guy's wife or something like that. But this group, it really feels like they love each other and play for each other. And it has been incredible. It has been an unexpected, incredible year. It's also been just entertaining as hell because along with the Dodgers, I know you're hated Dodgers, they led the league in comebacks. And when you have a team that's come back like 49, 50 times, it's just exciting to watch as a fan. So it's been an incredible year.
But the Blue Jays are not the plucky little guy. They're not the average Joes of the Milwaukee Brewers. The second highest payroll in the American League. Toronto is a huge metropolis. Maybe people in California don't quite understand how big Toronto is. Yet against the Dodgers, if they wanted to, Richard, they could frame themselves as the big underdogs. They are, odds-wise. Is that something you think will be embraced in Toronto? I know sometimes we make a bigger deal about that in the media and as fans than players or coaches do in the series.
Yeah, it's funny because I think Toronto will absolutely play itself as the plucky underdog against the Dodgers, which is like amusing because, like, all right, the Dodgers are Darth Vader and the Blue Jays are Boba Fett. There's no rebel alliance here. Like, you are correct. It's the fourth largest city in North America. They're owned by a telecom, which is endless amounts of money. I think at the moment they're maybe fifth or sixth in payroll or something like that. So, yeah, they might not play with the Dodgers and the Yankees in every free agent, but this is not the, poor sisters of the poor or anything like that. They're in on free agents, even if they didn't get them. They made a gigantic offer for Ohtani. Obviously, he chose the Dodgers, annoyingly, but They went in on Soto. They didn't get him. They went in on Sasaki. They didn't get him. Point is they go in on these guys because they have a lot of money, and they have a company, Rogers, where sports, honestly, in some ways, this is a promotional vehicle. You know, they're a big telecom. That's where they make their money. They make their money on phones and internet and stuff like that. So they're by no means an organizational underdog. That said, the Dodgers are just like, I mean, I hate to keep using the Star Wars analogies, but they really are like the evil empire. Like they can get anybody they want. They load up on far and away the best players. It seems like they just have endless depth, endless farm system, and well managed for sure. And obviously television money up the kazoo, just given the deal. So the Blue Jays are the underdog in the series. I think they will be. That's how it will play in Canada. I also think that's how it will play nationally. Obviously, I would like the Blue Jays to win. I'll sort of homer myself here. I just think it would be such a fascinating series if the Blue Jays won Game 1, because I think your average casual baseball fan probably thinks the Dodgers are just going to roll here because of, you know, just how they rolled against the Brewers and everybody else. And I think if Toronto can win the first game, I think people might sit up and go, wow, all right, you know, maybe this isn't going to be a sweep, or maybe LA's not going to roll. So that's what I'm hoping for. I would expect the Dodgers to win, but man, I would love to see the Blue Jays play well in Toronto, because then I think it becomes a fascinating series.
Speaking of TV deals, you mentioned it. The Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, even Blue Jays, the haves versus the have-nots. That would be the Padres, who have the smallest media market in all of baseball. Now, they don't even have a local TV deal. Next year, ESPN is going to take over the MLB packages, but it's all leading up to 2029. We've heard Rob Manfred talk about the idea that they can somehow nationalize the local TV broadcast rights. Do you think that's coming? What would it mean to, you know, teams like the San Diego Padres if somehow Major League Baseball could make that happen and, you know, coerce teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and Mets to give up some of their massive advantages that they have in local media?
Yeah, basically when it comes to questions like that, I always bet on greed. So no, I don't expect the Yankees, the Dodgers, Red Sox, whoever else, maybe the Red Sox would. I don't expect them to give up their significant advantages given their regional network contracts. One, I don't think it'd be smart business for them. And two, like when have you ever seen like professional sports owners like where they're willing to give up their advantage for sort of the good of the league? It doesn't happen. The reverse happens. The reverse is usually like ownership wants what's best for ownership, and if the other owners are upset about it, so be it. I think what Manfred's trying to do is smart. I mean, I think to nationalize all the sports rights would be incredible, because it would really be very, very beneficial for fans. You know, you'd end blackouts. Obviously, it'd be costing you money, but I think at this point, particularly when it comes to the U.S., like I think if you're a sports fan, you know you're paying. It sucks. And when leagues say, you know, we're doing this for you because we want you to have the best distribution, it's all BS. They're doing it to make money. But I do think nationalized baseball rights actually would be a really, really good thing. But no, I cannot. The Yankees have such an advantage and make so much money with the Yes Network. I cannot see that organization deciding, okay, we'll pool our rights back in there so we can help out the Royals. I don't see that. So I do think in 2029, I think Manfred will have significant rights across the league. I just don't think he's going to have all of them. And then MLB is going to have to figure out, you know, let's say how you navigate. If you have, I'll just make a number up. You have 26 of the teams as opposed to all of them.
Last thing for me, Richard, I just posted a piece in The Athletic with your thoughts on the return of the NBA to NBC last night, including Michael Jordan at halftime, new pregame show, Mike Tirico. I thought he was fantastic. You're just kind of give us an overview. We have a lot of subscribers to The Athletic in our audience, I know.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for publicizing that. You're like my Paul Heyman or Bobby Heenan, so I appreciate that. I thought, listen, the thing about watching watching the NBA on NBC last night, and maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm showing a little bit of my age, it just felt big. Like, it just felt bigger than what a season debut might have been on ESPN or even TNT. And I do think there is something about still, even in 2025, about something being on broadcast television versus cable, and certainly versus streaming. Now, NBC also played this up. You know, they had a great opening. where they had, the young players of the league being asked about the NBA and NBC, and they're like, "What? I was born in 2004. What are you guys talking about?" But they brought back Jordan, obviously, and Magic, and Patrick Ewing and Reggie Miller, and then I thought Tirico, Reggie Miller, and Jamal Crawford were really, really good. Felt like they basically were in mid-season form. That production felt big. Graphics were crisp. Pictures were crisp. They didn't miss anything. So I thought all in all, the game presentation was fantastic. The one place where I think, and again, judging all the stuff on one day is just very silly, to be honest. But that pregame show to me didn't pop. It's not that the chemistry was off, but I think Carmelo Anthony, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, they were so, the show seemed so inclined to make sure that everybody could sort of talk, that it felt like, you guys know this from being in the business, it felt like one of those segments where it's like, okay, host asks guest one this question, then they ask guest two this question, then they ask guest three this question. It's a little too formulaic. It's not that interesting. Where Inside the NBA is always interesting because they don't really have a format. So I think the studio show has a lot of room for improvement. But again, they have people who I think people ultimately will want to hear from. I mean, I think, Carmelo Anthony can be compelling on a certain subject if he feels like he has the freedom to do it. Same thing with McGrady and same thing with Vince Carter. And I think Maria Taylor's always been an excellent television person. So I think that will get better. But all in all, I thought it was a really great first day for
Richard?
NBC. And yeah,
So
I give it a B+ or an A-.
All in all, that was an excellent appearance on Ben and Woods. We waited far too long to get you back on. Really appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Richard Deitsch from The Athletic. Really good stuff. And yeah, I thought Mike
He's
Tirico
fantastic.
was terrific. Yeah, his thoughts about the pregame show. No one's inside the NBA. I mean, that crew, if you ever compare anybody to Chuck and Kenny and Shaq and Ernie, it's always going to fall flat. But we'll get them on ESPN as well coming up. I think this week they're going to have their first produced by TNT, but airing on ESPN show. So they're not going away. They'll still be the kings of that. But the broadcast was excellent. I had forgotten Tirico did basketball, and I thought he was, for game one of the season, was really, really good on that. And we'll have more coming up a little bit later in the program, I think during Do This on the NBA's return to NBC. When we come back, though, another manager is hired in Major League Baseball. And the Angels trying to get their house in order, still a mess in the courtroom yesterday. I'll Ben-splain what happened with Mike Trout and the lawsuit involving Tyler Skaggs' family coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2, Ben and Woods here on a Wednesday. Woodsy off with his adult baseball league pals. Now, how come you aren't playing in the tournament, Paulie?
I wasn't asked.
You weren't asked?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh. That shocked me for a second.
It was, I think we had a very brief conversation. He knew I didn't want to go.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, it's too much, honestly.
It's a lot, and I'm just not that good.
He's playing at least 5 games in like 3 days. He's 50 years old.
Yeah.
And it's hard pitch, fast pitch baseball.
Good competition.
This is not softball. This is not golf. This is real baseball against
the men's baseball World Series.
Against younger, in their prime athletes. And he's 50 years old and trying to do this. Good for him.
I don't know exactly. I think he's in the 18s. And so they have very specific rules in these tournaments. Like if you played pro ball, even single A pro ball, like you cannot pitch or you can't play or something like that. But in general, you got a lot of 20-year-old guys that are fresh out of college, maybe had an arm injury or something and couldn't keep playing, but they're college level, D1 baseball players, a lot of them. And there is some really good competition, people from all over the country, raining into Peoria and not Peoria, but Phoenix, the whole
Tempe,
Phoenix area.
Yeah, and he's Tempe. A 50-year-old father of 2 running around hosting a radio show 5 days a week. It's kind of insane when you think about it, but he enjoys it and it makes him happy. And that guy deserves to have a couple of days off and be happy. We want to thank Richard Deitsch again for joining us. Really great segment from Toronto there. He appeared on our David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. And speaking of criminal defense, we turn our attention to the Los Angeles Angels. It was a very notable news day in Anaheim yesterday, starting with the hiring of a new manager. A little bit of a surprise based on what you were hearing when the offseason started. Ron Washington, of course, not returning after, suffering his heart trouble during the season and stepping down. And Kurt Suzuki, a longtime major league, mostly backup catcher, occasional starter with no coaching experience at all, gets hired as the next manager of the Los Angeles Angels. 42 years old, 16-year career, 5 franchises, won the 2019 World Series as part of the Washington Nationals. He has been a special assistant to Angels general manager Perry Minasian for the last 3 years. He knows the organization, but he doesn't have any coaching experience. Certainly, when you had interviewed Albert Pujols, you'd interviewed Torrey Hunter for the job, going to raise some eyebrows with the choice of Kurt Suzuki. Nothing against Kurt. I've heard nothing but good things about Kurt Suzuki. Certainly fits the mold, Paulie, is another longtime catcher. It's almost impossible, it feels like, to get into managing nowadays if you weren't a catcher in Major League Baseball. So he's got that going for him. But you wonder, do you see Kurt Suzuki as being the manager who's going to turn around the fortunes of the LA Angels?
I don't know who's going to turn around the fortunes of the LA Angels. I only know a few Angels fans, but the ones that I do know, they're very passionate. They've been lifelong fans. They go to games every year. Like, they follow that team. I just feel bad for Angels fans. You're not in it every year. You're actually out of it almost every year, except you have ownership that is seemingly willing to spend. They just make all of the wrong decisions. You've had one of the greatest players in the history of baseball, Mike Trout, his entire career, just throw it away. Never played it. Not played in his 12 postseason at-bats. I just feel bad for Angels fans. You've had the Tyler Skaggs stuff going on for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now.
And we'll get to that.
It's just been a mess.
It's sneaky the worst spot to be in as a fan when your owner does spend money but spends it poorly, because you don't even have the hope. If you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, you go, yeah, I know our owner doesn't spend, but at least we find some talent like Paul Skeens and get some good players. They're probably going to leave, but one day maybe they'll sell and someone could actually spend some money on our team. You don't have even that hope if you're the Angels.
The Pirates are just a farm system.
They're already spending top 10 money on their team, and it does no good whatsoever. It gives you that hopeless feeling if you're an Angels fan. You're now stuck between the Dodgers and the Padres, 2 of the most compelling, and now consistently successful teams of this decade. at least in terms of regular season success, and of course Dodgers postseason success as well. You're just squished. And then there's what's going on behind the scenes right now, which is a civil trial filed by the family of Tyler Skaggs, the former pitcher who died on a road trip when he took a fentanyl-laced fake oxycodone that was given to him by a member of the media relations staff, Eric Kay. Kay was convicted in that case, sentenced, I believe, to over 20 years in prison. He's currently in jail. But his family not only suing Kay, I mean, that's a no-brainer, but he has, Kay has no big backing or money. They're suing for, the hundreds of millions that they think Tyler would have made in his baseball career. And they want to connect this to the LA Angels, Artie Moreno's deep pockets, and see if they can be on the hook, liable for what was going on in their organization. And as this trial is going on, and it was scheduled after the season because many members of the Angels organization are giving testimony. Other members of the media relations staff, Tim Mead, got on the stand a few days ago. But yesterday, Mike Trout got on the stand. You said you wanted me to Ben-splain what's going on.
Please.
What questions do you kind of have about this process?
I guess it's just a little, I don't want to say jarring, but a little eye-opening to see a star of his magnitude, Mike Trout. You don't typically see them in courtrooms, especially when they're not directly involved.
Yep, but when you're subpoenaed and it's a case, it doesn't matter how famous you are. You have to, go under oath, take the stand, and testify honestly about what you know and what you saw. And the lawyers for the Skaggs family.
I know he was really close with Skaggs, right? Like they were like
they
best
were
friends.
really good friends.
So he's a key witness.
And what the lawyers for Skaggs' family are trying to establish is that members of the Angels organization knew that their employee had a drug problem, and no one did anything to address it. And because of that negligence, it led to the death of Tyler Skaggs, and thus the Angels are responsible. Now, I think you can have your own personal opinions. Isn't Tyler Skaggs responsible? He's the one who ultimately decided to take the pill. Eric Kay, who provided the pill, directly responsible. Are the Angels, as an organization, though, responsible for the individual conduct of two people that they're not expected to monitor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And the testimony as it's going, and Mike Trout's testimony was fairly beneficial for the Skaggs family because he testified, he and Eric Kay were friends as well, as an employee, and they were close. And he testified that he kind of got, he saw that things were not going well. The behavior was erratic. The hint of some sort of drug use was there. And he confronted him and said, man, you got a family. You got to get yourself cleaned up. Anything that I can do to help. But, in the upper levels of the organization, how much did they know? Was it irresponsible of them for not firing Eric Kay? Get the bad apple out of our organization before he does something truly horrible. Unfortunately, something truly horrible happened. And that's what this trial is about, whether or not the Angels are at fault for the drug that killed their pitcher, Tyler Skaggs. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one for me because we're all human. I think we all have had coworkers. If you're a boss, I've never really been a manager of people, but it feels heartless to just say, oh yeah, no, we've heard you've used drugs. You're just fired. And you don't want to just give up on people right away. But if you don't, you're also potentially, as we're finding out, exposing your company, your business, to the potential ramifications if something does happen. What's the right thing to do in that situation? Many people have testified that they liked Eric Kay a lot. They offered him help. They just didn't want to throw him off cast him aside and go, no, we just need to get him out of here. You're not our problem anymore. Get away.
You feel like that's a one-way ticket down a bad path.
Exactly. You feel like you're condemning. Oh, now he's got a drug problem, and now he's got no job, and his family's not going to be taken care of.
But you could also argue that they are employing a drug dealer.
Exactly. Which is why this case is complicated and emotional and difficult to, just say one way or another who's in the right and who's in the wrong. It's a gray it's a very gray area. But with the testimony of Mike Trout, they're starting to establish that certainly there was a pattern of behavior and a knowledge among at least some members of the Angels organization that Eric Kay was not okay in, what was going on. Now, did they think or know? I mean, if they had any idea that he was going to start supplying drugs to other members of the team and they would be laced with fentanyl, pretty sure the Angels would have done something. But they didn't. They didn't see all ends, and I'm sure if they could go back, they would change things. The question is, are they going to be liable in this case for, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in damages as filed by Skaggs' family? It's a heartbreaking story. It's nothing. It's completely heartbreaking.
I hate it for everybody that didn't have anything to do with this in the Angels organization. I hate it for the Skaggs family. I'm sure that's not a comfortable.
Of course. I hate it for the Angels. They all love Tyler Skaggs. No one on the Angels was like twirling their evil mustache going, what can we do to ruin many people's lives in this situation? Tessa in the chat says, I think that's why some employers have drug testing and a zero tolerance policy, so there isn't a gray area. Yeah. One failed drug test, you're out, because they want to protect their company. Protecting the company, though, isn't necessarily just the best behavior you can establish. Anyone can just absolve themselves. Yeah, all we're doing is protecting our company. Well, what about your people? What about the people that worked for you for years and years? Eric Kay was with them for years and years and years. Is that the right thing to do? Is just, let's just cast him offside. Yep, yeah, he did something wrong. You're gone. We're not going to do anything about it. It's not our problem anymore. It's not necessarily the right thing to do either. Such a complicated, difficult issue.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
I know.
It's not I'm glad I avoided that story a little bit, because it just makes me. It's a bummer.
It really is a tough one.
There's no bright spots in that story.
All right, let's take a timeout. Coming up later this hour, we're going to be joined by our friend Darren Smith, going to move up his Friday appearance to Wednesday as we get ready for the SDFC playoff opener on Sunday. Up next, though, is Don't Do This, and we just heard Richard Deitsch talking about the NBA on NBC. I thought it, for the most part, it was exciting, including one particular part that had me thrilled. That'll be a Do This when we return with Ben and Woods, exactly, on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466. For a full list of games and rules, play at 7 Mile Casino. Visit 7milecasino.com.
7 Mile Casino, our place to play cards. They have a beautiful card room that's right off the 5 freeway in Chula Vista, offering 4 particular games. You've got California-style blackjack, Texas Hold'em poker, Pai Gow poker, and Baccarat. I don't know how many tables there are. I would estimate about, it feels like 25, 30 tables in there with the different games. Feels big enough, but certainly not overwhelmingly big. It's light. There's windows. It's airy. There's no smoke. There's no slot machines. It's just an upscale. It feels like an upscale club/restaurant when you walk in. Feel comfortable. They're very friendly. The dealers are friendly, professional, take care of their players, high-limit players. If you're looking for good action, they spread it on their Texas Hold'em tables. It's a great place to play. Plus, the food is top-notch. Sammy's at 7 Mile offers their unbelievable selection of pizzas and pastas and salads that you know from Sammy's Wood-Fired Pizza, but they also up their game with the 24/7 players menu, available any time of day, 2 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, whenever you're hungry. Order off the players menu. Get the Kung Pao chicken. It's my favorite. I just had it last week for lunch when I was down there. Check out the patio, which overlooks San Diego Bay, looking right out toward Coronado. So many reasons why we've made 7 Mile our place to play cards or just hang out. You can make it yours as well with no drive required deep into the East County. Check it out today. 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from downtown.
Okay, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Smith coming up at the bottom of the hour. First, though, it is time for Don't Do This, brought to you by Trust and Will.
Don't.
Leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die.
Do.
Set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com.
This
is a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. Perfect. A perfect job filling in for Woods there, Paulie.
Thank you.
Very nice. I will start actually by revisiting two DDT tweets from the past. The first one was just yesterday when we made fun of the El Paso Chihuahuas for their post congratulating Blake Snell on heading to the World Series final. The former Chihuahua who, you know, made like a 5-minute appearance for El Paso on a rehab start.
One inning, bought them dinner, and was on his way.
We weren't even sure. Were they doing a bit? Was it a joke? What was good? Was it
the fact
AI?
that they wrote headed to the World Series final, I'm like, is that? I don't know what happened there.
Well, they certainly opened themselves up to a little bit of poking fun as their rival in the Pacific Coast League, the Reno Aces, tweeted yesterday. Big congrats to former Reno Aces MLB rehab opponent Blake Snell headed to the World Series final. Sorry, Chihuahuas, we love you. It's good. I don't know. I liked it. Made me laugh.
Now, did the Chihuahuas, they deleted that post, I think.
Did they delete it?
I couldn't find it.
It wasn't on purpose then if they deleted it.
Yes, good point.
So that means that they didn't. It wasn't. They can't go.
They weren't just trolling.
We were doing a little bit. It's just a joke, guys. No, they deleted it because they were embarrassed by it. Speaking of embarrassing tweets, there was another one that was being revisited everywhere yesterday. Probably overdone, but I understand why people wanted to do so. Remember when, and Richard Deitsch was talking about it in our last hour, the Toronto Blue Jays were one of the bidders for Shohei Ohtani in free agency 2 off seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they were thought to be very close. So close, in fact, that the movements of Shohei Ohtani were being closely followed. And John Morosi, MLB.com, tweeted out and got everybody excited across the continent. Sources, Shohei Ohtani is en route to Toronto. thinking he was going to sign a deal with the Blue Jays. Wasn't true. It turned out to be the plane was one of the Shark Tank sharks, I think.
Yes.
When I got off the plane, he was
Sounds
like, why is everyone here following my plane to Toronto? Wasn't Shohei Ohtani at all. Of course, he ended up signing with the LA Dodgers, but that tweet got a lot of play yesterday when, in fact, Shohei Ohtani was en route to Toronto, just this time for Game 1 of the World Series, along with the rest of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
What did Woods bring up yesterday? Like, it's just the low-hanging fruit.
It is
with
low-hanging.
The World Series matchup.
The Kendrick against Drake matchup. It's very low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
everyone was using that one yesterday, though. Paulie?
Had an awkward moment on ESPN yesterday. Kendrick Perkins, one of their NBA insiders, he was doing a SportsCenter hit with L. Duncan, leading into opening night last night, Rockets and Oklahoma
Thunder.
City. They were the first game of the season, and this was just a weird moment. He's making a joke about his name, Kendrick.
She almost
Perkins.
like saw it coming, like, why are we doing this bit right now? But you could see her like almost rolling her eyes.
It's quite visual,
Yeah.
Because Kendrick Perkins is going to say what appears to be some sort of a pickup line. And I don't know if he's just messing around. I imagine he is. But he does this weird kind of like, hey, how you doing? Like this weird move after he says it. Here's the line on SportsCenter last night with L. Duncan.
Well done.
You ready for this one?
God.
What you need ibuprofen for when you have a perk?
Oh, God.
I'll lean back.
Cut to commercial.
He has
what
this, like,
you need an
he
ibuprofen
has this like
for?
leering, like Lothario look about him when he says it. And is that a line that he's actually like used at a bar? Like, what do you need an ibuprofen for?
God.
What you need ibuprofen for when you have a perk?
Ibuprofen.
When you can have a perk.
He's very happy. He's very self-satisfied, which I also am self-satisfied when I give a good line.
Oh, of course.
I've never dropped a cheesy line like that though, like with a woman. I do it all the time on the radio, but like, have you ever like a pickup line? Like I've never. Like, could that possibly work for anyone?
I didn't think people actually legitimately used pickup lines unironically or not trying to be funny or anything like that. It's a clever line, sure. It was weird to see it on TV. Now they went to a commercial break, like immediately. They came back and L. Duncan said she started the next segment with something like, well, working with Kendrick sure has its perks. And he goes, I see what you did there.
What about the guy who's not here? Has he ever used pickup lines?
I promise you he's used a pickup line.
Why do you need to go camping when you got the woods right here? No.
I don't know that he's ever used a pickup line with his name. But do you think at any point, maybe in his like earlier days, Woods like might have used like, did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
Yeah, I can see that.
I lost my number. Can I have yours?
All right, let's move on. Little doo-doo this here.
DD mega doo-doo.
Maybe it's just me. We talked with Richard Deitsch about the NBA returning to NBC. First game since the 2002 Game 4 of the NBA Finals. And after that, they lost the rights, went to TNT, ESPN. And that's where we've had basketball for the last 20-plus years. But last night, doubleheader on NBC. And it just hit a little bit harder when the broadcast started and they returned not only John Tesh's Round Ball Rock, but the entire the opening anthem and flourish with the NBC Peacock logo. It gave me the chills. And I know I'm a bit of a sports nerd, but when I was listening to this, I was like, my spine was tingling. Here's how it sounded on NBC last night.
Just love that NBC logo.
Apparently do, which is weird because I work for ABC.
This is the NBA on NBC. Tonight, it's the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Welcome to American Express NBA Tip-Off. Those championship rings, the shimmering.
All right, so a couple things. You heard Mike Tirico there at the end, and a shot of those championship rings that the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are absolutely enormous.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, they are enormous. But here's an interesting thing, and I don't know that I've seen this with the championship ring. There's a ring inside of the ring. It's more like a smaller, like a wedding band. So it's like the lifeboat on the Titanic. If they don't want to wear the full gaudy championship ring, they can take the big part off, like put it in the safe, and just wear the band that shows their championship ring. I thought that was absolutely genius of the Oklahoma City Thunder to create a ring within a ring for actually everyday wear, because you can't wear it. Modern championship rings are so huge. You can't wear them all the time. You'd look stupid if you were just walking around going to the, Trader Joe's wearing your NBA championship ring, but you can wear like a little wedding band version, which is really cool. The other part of that open that you heard, and this is a little more dicey. You could call it a do this or a don't do this. The announcer who said, tonight, the Houston Rockets take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is Jim Fagan, the longtime voice of the NBA and NBC. He's their voice-over talent. Jim Fagan passed away in 2017, but they have used artificial intelligence to essentially bring him back to life so they can continue making it sound like it did back when he was doing all their announcing. So they've created an AI Jim Fagan voice that will be doing all their intros, creating the proper matchups and everything with the sponsorship. This brought to you by American Express. That was sort of Jim Fagan's voice. A little creepy, I will admit.
Yeah, I don't.
But nostalgia-wise, it hits really hard because it's exactly what it sounded like. They did a really good job of recreating Jim Fagan with AI, but it is problematic in
feels
ways
a little
as well.
weird.
It feels a little problematic to me too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I land on this one.
If they would have
loved
just
it so
taken
much.
like an old open that he did that was generic enough,
yeah,
that would have been one
but
thing.
They wanted specific teams where the Oklahoma City Thunder, they weren't a thing in 2002, so they didn't have any clips of him saying the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, they didn't exist when he was doing their voiceover work, so they recreated him in AI, even though he's been dead for 8 years.
Overall, I'll give them still a solid grade because the John Tesh Round Ball Rock is my favorite of all of the sports anthems. Saw a bunch of people in the chat were doing the basketball, like that SNL skit. It is absolutely
probably
elite.
I mean, kids who are less than 25 years old probably only know Round Ball Rock from the SNL skit.
Good point.
And now it's back.
Yeah.
It's back, and the NBA and NBC have reunited once again. And that is don't and do this for a Wednesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Let's see, Steve says, that's ill-advised, gross, just hire a new guy, says Bavaquafina. Nostalgia is not the ultimate priority. I don't usually agree with Bavaquafina, but he's got a point on this one. I liked hearing it once, but get a new guy going forward. Someone who sounds cool.
I think that's fair.
But you probably should move on and not go AI for the next 8 years or however long they have the contract. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Darren Smith will join us a little early this week, but always appreciate a good conversation on the Padres and SDFC's playoff opener with Darren. That is coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? This spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Still a couple of days away from the start of the World Series, but if you're looking for some sports to watch tonight at 7:30 on Apple TV, you can check out the wild card matchup in the Western Conference of the MLS playoffs between Portland and Salt Lake City, because the winner of that game will then get on a plane to San Diego to take on SDFC on Sunday in the opener of the best-of-3 first-round series. We got Darren Smith standing by. We'll talk SDFC, Padres, and more a little bit early since we're going to be off on Friday. Darren joins us right after this check traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
This game day traffic report is brought to you by Crystal Geyser, Alpine Spring Water. Tow trucks on scene of this collision in Balboa Park, South 163 near Robinson. Everything is over to the right shoulder. South 805 near H Street. We have reports of some sort of debris in middle lanes. What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water different? They always bottle their Alpine Spring Water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source. And all of their bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from their own recycling plant. Crystal Geyser, bottled at the spring source. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Quickly, this hour on The Fan brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted the #1 Toyota dealer in the U.S. by USA Today, with APRs as low as 0%. Tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now at Toyota of Poway, or online at toyotaofpoway.com in the heart of San Diego. And joining us right now on our David P. Shapiro fan hotline is Darren Smith. Darren, do you miss all the liners and sponsor reads that come with terrestrial radio, or is that kind of freeing when you don't have all those the entire show?
It could be a little bit freeing. Yeah, I think that's right. I think sometimes the unintended comedy of it, when there's a typo in there. I remember one night we were reading a liner for 80s night during a Gulls game, I think, and I read it as 805 night over and over and over again, and nobody ever corrected me. I was like, why are we talking about 805?
It's a good beer, right? The 805 Pale Ale or something like that.
Oh, no, I had it trapped in my mind that they were somehow honoring the freeway. I was like, what are we doing? What is the 15 night? What is the 5 night? What's going on here? What about the 8? So I felt like such a moron because I just kept reading it over and over and over again. The 805 night. What am I missing?
80s.
Here?
The S looks like I get it. Oh, totally get it.
Yeah.
I don't mind that part of the job. I think it's kind of a challenge sometimes to
you love it.
Work them in. Paul's right. I kind of do like reading a good liner every now and then.
Like a segue from a liner into a new topic, it gets this man going.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge of it too. When you try to incorporate it somehow into the bigger conversation or leading it into the interview, I think that those are always the fun moments there. So yes, that is the part that I do miss. But sometimes you just read it and you don't even know what you read. And so then, therefore, it just leaves you a little bit stumped. But all part of the game.
The worst is it happens, I don't know, every couple of weeks we'll do an obituary for somebody that we all found interesting. And then 5 minutes later, wouldn't you know, it's time for a Trust and Will live read or something. It's just totally, we didn't think ahead. We didn't plan for that. It just kind of happens.
Segue king here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind telling you that when there was plenty of discussion going on about what was the future ownership structure of the Padres, and then almost seamlessly the Ben and Wood show would go into the Trust and Will, I'd be like, yeah, that's we're flying pretty close to the sun on some of these reads.
All right, here we go. Transition. Speaking of Padres ownership and management, wanted to know what you thought of the interview we did with Eric Grupner on Monday morning and what he had to say about the piece in The Athletic, about a potential extension for AJ Preller, apparently in the works. John Seidler talking to him now. I know it's been a big topic when we've had you on the last few weeks. So your thoughts on that conversation?
Well, hopefully that's where this is heading, right? Hopefully this is heading towards that direction, that everybody feels good about the future of the organization. I mean, listen, you guys have Dennis on the show. I've had Dennis on the show forever. I think Dennis has plenty of credibility. I think that Dennis, I believe what it is that Dennis has written. I'm not saying that Eric Grupner was not being honest. I think that sometimes there's often some gray area for stuff like this, just because you might hear that there's a little bit of inner conflict going on between a couple of people. Maybe doesn't mean that that's exactly how it's perfectly describing the situation at present tense. But I think Dennis has established himself as a pretty credible reporter in this market. So I'm going to believe, I think Dennis has real consequences if he were to print something that is untrue. I also think that I've listened to enough people over the years who have spun a version of the story because, it's convenient to think that, this is the message that you want to get out, that we can work together. So I just hope it all smooths itself out. I think that the best version of the Padres is with AJ Preller as the president of baseball operations and the general manager, and with Eric Grupner as the CEO running the business side. I do think that is the best version of the Padres. That is the version of the Padres that Peter Seidler wanted. And I'm a Peter Seidler disciple. So I believe that's what's in the best interest of the organization. So that's what I would like to see moving forward. So hopefully that continues.
Peter probably wouldn't be all that thrilled to see the Dodgers back in the World Series again this year. Your thoughts on the matchup against the Toronto Blue Jays beginning Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, he would not like that, and he would talk about the team up to the north. But I also know that Peter would embrace that as a challenge as to how do we get past that team. How is it that we're going to put ourselves in the position that they find themselves in? I feel like there's a little bit of a complex that we all have, that we just think that the Dodgers are going to run through the Blue Jays. I don't know that I see it that way. I feel like this is maybe a little bit more even than initial impressions would suggest. I give the Blue Jays, and I understand it. Dodgers are great the way they're pitching. It's certainly hard to say like anybody's going to compete with what it is that they're doing. But these are not the Mariners, or excuse me, these are not the Milwaukee Brewers. I think that the Blue Jays are unintimidated. I think that there is real quality there. I think hosting the World Series is going to matter. I don't think this is going to be a rollover. I mean, I might be wrong, but I actually think this is more level. I think the pitching holds up. I think the hitting holds up. The travel, I think, is advantageous for the Toronto Blue Jays. So I kind of like them. I wouldn't say that I'm predicting them to win, but I don't think it's going to be like 4 or 5 games. It feels like it could be an actual series to me. What about you guys?
Paulie and Woods and I, we talked before Woods left at the end of the show yesterday, and I feel like I might have gotten caught up a little bit in what you are saying when I predicted the Dodgers are going to sweep, which I wanted to be bold. And I look at both teams, and I starting pitching, Dodgers. Lineup, Dodgers. Bullpen now with Sasaki and the starters they can put in there, Dodgers. And I just think, if the Dodgers have the advantage everywhere, why wouldn't I pick the Dodgers in a sweep? But I also think
Vegas tends to agree with you.
I'll no, but Darren's right. It's baseball, and baseball defies sometimes your expectations. The safe thing in baseball is always to predict a close series with close games, because that's how baseball tends to work. And when that happens, it's probably the smart money to go with the underdog in a series like that rather than the favorite. Paulie, you think the Dodgers are going to win too.
I said in 5.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I think they're just a machine right now. But I did look at the latest odds. You can risk $260 to win $100 if the Dodgers win, so minus 260. The Blue Jays are plus 207, so risk 100, win $207.
But the crazy thing, and I was looking this up last night, it was 240, I think, last night. So 240 to win 100. Now it's 260, so the Dodgers are becoming heavier favorites. You would have had to bet over $200 to win 100 on the Dodgers to win the World Series in March. So you could have just waited all year, and it would only have hurt your odds by a few dollars by waiting until they actually got to the World Series rather than when you still had 30 teams theoretically into this thing. So their odds have not really changed, Darren, since, they showed up at spring training to win this thing.
And I get also that the Dodgers winning last year has probably changed the perception, and then they've added to that. But, I do think they still are capable of going into being where they were when the Padres had them dead the rights in the postseason last year. And again, this is a Toronto team that is hosting the World Series starting on Friday night. So, I don't think this is some team that's just like the Arizona Diamondbacks from a couple of years ago that navigated its way through the minefield of a postseason and found itself in a position where it's like, well, what is that team doing there? Seriously, how did they get there? This is embarrassing. I haven't viewed the Blue Jays like that. They have star players. They have players. And George Springer is an incredible postseason performer. And he's a little dinged up, but he's an incredible postseason performer. So, I think that sort of stuff matters a lot. And plus, he's also had success against that team. So I do think that there is a little bit of reason to believe that this is going to be a series. And if it goes later into a series, you don't know. Like something could happen, some twist, some turn, somebody could twist an ankle or what have you. So I do. Again, maybe it's wishful thinking. I feel like there's 2 schools of thought, especially for people in San Diego. There's sort of the dread of like, oh, let's just get this over with because the Dodgers are going to win again. So let's just make it quick and painless, right? Like let's just make it a sweep or a 5-game series. Or there's the delusional, well, maybe the Blue Jays have something in them that we haven't really thought of, and they're going to extend this somehow. But I just think it's going to be a longer series. I think it's going to be a more enjoyable series. I think that the 2 teams lend themselves to playing that. I just think the Brewers were not ready for that stage. And I think that the Brewers were not ready for that stage. The Blue Jays will be much more ready for it.
Talking to Darren Smith here on Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. And I know playoffs sometimes change things, assuming you'll be in the booth on Sunday night for SDFC's playoff opener. Excellent. Yesterday, we had Mikey Varas on the show. Always a fantastic conversation with Mikey. Your thoughts just on kind of going into the playoffs. I don't know if you heard what Mikey had to say on our show. I pressed him on the old, did you really look at the scoreboard thing? Guy is true to himself. He would not look at the scoreboard, even up 4-0 in the second half. I was very impressed, as always.
I did the same thing because I went out there yesterday to interview him for a different show, and I said the same. Like, you didn't take a peek at halftime, Mikey. He's like, I did not take a peek at halftime, and I believe him. I think he's a straight shooter, and that's the one thing I will continue to say about Mikey Vadas. I'm a big fan of his, and I did hear him, and I find him to be really very interesting, motivational, more than just the tactics and the sport and all that sort of stuff, just interesting life guidance type of persona. But it just created this sort of cinematic scene at the end, right, where the whole place in Portland had emptied out, and it's just the SDFC players and coaching staff huddled around somebody's cell phone on the field in the rain, with a couple of hundred SDFC fans in the stands, and everybody waiting for the score to find out that they clinched the number 1 seed in the West. So I'm believing him because I think he's an honest person, but I'm also choosing to believe him because it adds to the cinematic quality of what it was that happened at the end of the game in Portland. It's a best of 3. It's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what is the better option for San Diego Football Club. Is it Portland? Is it Real Salt Lake?
He certainly wouldn't say.
No, and I don't think they really care, to be honest. I mean, the vibes are pretty high out there at the training ground yesterday. I don't think they, it is weird that your reward, if you will, for finishing first is that you have to, wait longer to find out who your opponent is. But I think they're going to be ready no matter what. And, best of 3 is interesting. It's the only round of the playoffs where this sort of stuff happens. Everything subsequent rounds is just a single game elimination, 1 round knockout. So, they do this because they want to get everybody a home game during the playoffs, which I guess makes a little bit of sense. But even still, I don't think they're ready. I was out there yesterday again, and it, Mikey said this, as soon as they clinched the playoffs, he felt like their priority was to continue to win regular season games. The second priority was, let's make sure that we're playing the best that we can possibly play heading into the playoffs. And they've scored 8 goals in their last 3 halves. They haven't allowed but 1. So I think that was mission accomplished. Whether that means anything on Sunday night, I don't know. It's the playoffs. Inter Miami was the best regular season team of all time last year, and they got picked off in this round by Atlanta United. So, Messi and company went home after a record-setting season in 2024. Hopefully that's not the case, but I think they'll be ready. I think the crowd will be ready. Will Ben and Woods be ready on Sunday night?
I will be ready. I will be back and raring to go in front of my television. If not, I don't think I'll be there in person, but I'll certainly be watching that playoff opener. I do think getting a weakened opponent that has to play on a Wednesday offsets any difficulty of preparation of not knowing. And I thought what Mikey said was brilliant yesterday. Well, we looked at the areas where the teams were similar, work on that early in the week, and then, tailor it to the specific opponent, which was so simple yet genius yesterday. There's a couple of things they do that are very similar, so we'll prepare for that on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then when we find out Thursday and Friday, we'll tailor it for the rest of the opponent. Genius.
Yeah. And they're also out there practicing their penalty kicks because these games cannot end in ties. So, if the score is, 0-0, 1-1 at the end of it, they'll be practicing their penalty kicks, which is also always something that is a good subject for conversation. Some people like it, some people hate it, but you got to live with it. And, they're out there practicing that. So, yeah, man, it's the first time. What a season for these guys. It's just incredible to think about it. This entire season from where it started to where it is now. Like I wait 30 years for an expansion club and you get one that performs like this. Kind of crazy to think about it.
Maybe we'll have the penalty kick conversation next week, because certainly some of these games will go to penalty kicks. There's enough draws in soccer that you will see them happen, and someone will be heartbroken and another team will be celebrating, and it'll come down to just a goalkeeper's guess one way or the other, just jumping, which is just insane, but theatrical as well.
It is theatrical, and it's good visual. I will say, if nothing else, it's good for television.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as simple. I do think that they prepare for it. There are tendencies.
Yeah,
the goalkeepers study that sort of stuff. So it is still down to, did you pick the right side or did you not most of the time? But there are some little things that can make a difference if you find yourself in a shootout.
Yeah, no, I believe that. Darren, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Great game on Sunday. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. By the way, anti-AI for on any sort of broadcast.
I can get that.
We need to stay employed
I should
here.
be too.
Come on, Ben. What are we doing?
I almost feel bad for enjoying it as much as I did last night. I know. Darren Smith on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Coming up in our third hour, we got some real or fake. We got a Padres Smörgåsbord. Any trade candidates on the roster right now? All coming up next here with Ben and Woods on The Fan. Halfway home on a Wednesday. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Paulie wearing multiple hats today, including his SDFC hat, which looks very good.
Thank you.
As Woods is on his baseball playing break. And then tomorrow, I will go on to my Golfapalooza break for the next couple of days. It's another serious golfing outing for let's see. Tomorrow is
serious golf.
Skins game 18 holes, par 3 contest 9 holes. Friday is
just the two of you guys.
First round of the tournament. No, it's a tournament.
You are playing in
a tournament. First round of the tournament officially on Friday, and then putting contest, and then Saturday is the final round of the tournament plus the championship round if you win your flight. So got a lot of golf coming up the next 3 days.
So you are going out there, you're playing with your buddy.
Yes.
Now, in a tournament like this, is everybody competing against each other?
The way they
any sort of team?
Generally do it is they will group you into different flights, like 6 different teams, and then if you finish the best of your flight, then you advance onto the championship.
The best
shootout.
Individual performance of your flight.
It's best ball. So, take the best score in each hole, and then over the 2 days, the best scores of the 2 days, then advance to the championship. There's a bit of a buy-in, so there's some monetary prizes as well if you do if you perform adequately, which adds to the pressure a little bit. It's fun when you're not, you talk about pro sports all day and the huge stakes that clearly the Padres have, college football, pro football, just the massive attention and stakes. It's sometimes nice to get your juices flowing with the, even if it's just $50 or whatever that you're playing for, it starts to make your knees knock a little bit on a putt. So I am looking forward to that the next couple of days. Paulie will also be off, which means just a reminder to the audience, to the tier ones, we love you so much. We will have some best of Ben and Woods content for you, 6 to 8 a.m. on Thursday and Friday. And then Sammy Levitt's going to come in. We're going to rescue him from his off-season doldrums that he's already hit. I didn't see any more posts from Sammy yesterday. We had crock pots, we had coffee, we had school visits already this week. We'll get him back in front of a microphone for a couple of hours tomorrow and Friday from 8 to 10 to talk baseball and more with you. So please give Sammy a listen. Check out the best of content. Paulie worked really hard and curating some of our favorite stuff. We'll have some of our smorgasbord topics on the Padres, which we'll get into more of this hour as well. Potential trade candidates for your Padres.
I'm trying to think of everything we threw in there for the best of. Let's see here. Best of Ben and Woods. Yeah, you're going to hear some pranks that we've done over the last few months. Took a 20-minute clip from Bud Black when he was in studio with us recently. Some of our Padres Smörgåsbords that are still very relevant and evergreen content. You'll hear some of that. Got some good stuff planned for you guys from 6 to 8 for the next couple of mornings.
I think the manager, obviously topic is one that is going to continue. As we told you earlier today, Albert Pujols is in town interviewing, maybe even getting started now. 8 a.m. seems like a great time to start a day-long interview with Albert Pujols. Maybe he's on his way to Petco Park. Good morning, Albert. Thank you for listening to 97.3 The Fan, and good luck in your conversations with various members of the Padres front office today as you get through. And this is probably the first of 2 or even 3 interviews if you get to be one of the finalists for the job. It's a long process. But Tom Krasovic wrote in the UT this morning about why he thinks Albert Pujols could be an ideal fit for Manny Machado in particular. And he made some good points about Manny can certainly relate to Albert. Albert can relate to Manny. Faces of a franchise with massive contracts and the pressure that, goes along with trying to live up to those expectations. Both coming up very young in their careers and being, veteran guys that had to carry teams for very long periods, playoff appearances. Of course, Albert has a couple of World Series rings to his credit with the St. Louis Cardinals that Manny is still looking forward to. But how you manage yourself in your 30s, going into your 40s. Albert played all the way until I think 42 was his last season when he went back to the St. Louis Cardinals. And by the way, hit 24 home runs that year for the Cardinals. Now he dealt with some down seasons during that, almost decade with the Angels. Before that is part of that conversation. Tom suggests Albert telling Manny, you got to do a better job in, managing your time on the field. You got to be able to take some days off at some point. I don't know what that conversation looks like, but I can see why Albert Pujols is the right person to have it with Manny Machado. Maybe better than certainly, like a Mike Schilt or anyone else would be to have it with Manny Machado. Even Bob Melvin, who was a player and a longtime player, was never a star player and never had that burden of being a star player that Manny and Albert share.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I can't think of a lot of really good and strong opinions on why not to give Albert Pujols a chance. I think I'm a little weary just where this team is at and their championship contention window of bringing in another first-time manager, but there's never been a first-time manager with his baseball resume, so it's kind of like I'm at the point where I'm like, F it, why not? Why not try it? It would be extremely different from anything else they've tried that hasn't quite worked. I don't know. So I think I'm okay with it, but I don't know what I don't know his philosophies are. I don't know anything about that.
Ultimately, and this was what Tom Krasovic was writing about. Ultimately, I disagree with the premise. Margie in the chat says, "Man, it's so lame. We have to find a manager who fits Manny. Why is it so singular for this team or Manny?" I don't think they do. In fact, I think it's kind of a silly narrative to think that Manny Machado needs any particular type of manager. I think Manny is going to continue to be Manny, which, by the way, is a good thing, Padres fans. You want Manny to be Manny for as long as possible. You want him to put up his 28 to 30 home runs. You want him to do what Manny does for as long as possible. He has shown the ability to do that with various different managers. Nothing changes with Manny Machado, no matter who the manager is. I don't know that Albert Pujols unlocks like Manny 2.0. I really don't. I don't think you have to make that hire because it might, be good for Manny Machado. And I don't think you should really make Manny the focus of your managerial hire. Now, that doesn't mean Albert Pujols isn't the right guy for the job. If Albert Pujols is the right guy to take the Padres to the World Series, then hire him.
Sure.
But don't hire him because you think, oh, yeah, he'll get along with Manny and will relate to Manny. I think that's a dumb reason to hire a manager. Hire him if he's the right guy that you think will take your team to the next step that you have not gotten to yet, the deep playoff run, a World Series championship. If he's not, I don't care that his name is Albert Pujols, he's going to the Hall of Fame, and that he was considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. If he's not the fit, he's not the fit. And it doesn't matter that Manny Machado or Xander Bogaerts could relate to him as a star player. You got 26 players on the roster. He's going to have to get the best out of all of them. If he's the right guy to do that, hire Albert Pujols. I'll be on board. I'll be excited about Albert Pujols. I really will. But don't hire him because, you think there's some sort of secret of Manny Machado that you're missing. Manny is going to be Manny next year and the year after that. His performance will decline as he gets older because everybody's does. And he will manage it. He's a smart guy. He's a savvy player. He will have other people that he can lean on in addition to Albert Pujols. Heck, he can probably call Albert Pujols no matter what if he wants to pick his brain on, becoming a star in your mid-30s to your late 30s. It's not going to change. So
I guess if it's that important, just let Manny pick the manager.
And which they're not going to do. That's why it's silly. So I got the point of the piece, but I really don't think that the Padres need to find the right guy. And we've had the conversation earlier this week. You got to manage a bunch of divas. You don't. I don't think that Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., or Xander Bogaerts need to be coddled or treated a certain way.
I think when you brought in Juan Soto,
they're ball players.
When you brought in Juan Soto mid-season, I can see how there was a bit of a power struggle there. I can see that. I don't know that it's the same case here with the guys you just mentioned. I would throw Jackson Merrill into that mix. He signed a 9-year contract. He should probably have as much say as anybody from the player's point of view on who they like as a manager.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Juan Soto. He's an unbelievable ball player and wish he was still with the Padres, but he kind of marched to a different beat. And
I think he just looked around and he goes, "There's no future for me here." He knew that. We all knew that. Everybody
I think
knew
that's part of it.
And I think that's a natural instinct to maybe not be. I don't even want to say he wasn't bought in because he still performed at a very high level. But some of these reports like, oh, he was late to a hitters meeting or, oh, he was late to the team bus. I'm like, He knows he's not going to be here long term. We knew he wasn't going to be here long term. I was personally just trying to enjoy having a future Hall of Famer in our uniform for as long as that was. Only ended up being a year and a half. But you were talking about Pujols earlier, and it had me looking. So you have to be out of baseball. What is it, 5 years since your last game to be eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Correct.
Okay, so he played 109 games back in 2022 for the St. Louis Cardinals. So that means he'll be eligible 2027 or maybe 2028.
5 years sitting out, 2028.
Yeah, so 2028. So is he going to be the first manager to potentially have to leave his team in July
for
to
a
go
weekend?
to Hall of Fame induction weekend?
That's not a reason not to hire him.
Of course not.
I actually had the same thought yesterday. They do that. Sometimes they do that Cooperstown game. Well, that would be an easy one if he was going to Cooperstown, have the Padres in that Cooperstown game that weekend.
But if he's anybody's manager in 2028, he's going to be required to go to Cooperstown for a weekend.
He'll be there
in
for that
July.
day. Yeah, I bet whoever Albert is managing at the time will probably find their way into that Cooperstown game that weekend, so he can both be there, enjoy the festivities, but still be around his team. But yeah, that would be.
I just don't know that it's ever happened.
That would be unique. I don't think it's ever happened. I mean, you certainly have had broadcasters who left their teams, I think, to do that and stuff for a weekend. But
obviously, no players, but no coach.
But yeah, a manager going into the Hall of Fame while still as a player. That would be interesting in 2028. Long way down the line. Ultimately, though, I don't think that Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, or even Fernando Tatis Jr. have any secrets to be unlocked. They will determine the rest of the course of their careers, which, by the way, all three of them need to step up a little bit in certain areas of their game if the Padres are going to get to the World Series. Fernando needs to find that power stroke again. Manny, same thing to a certain extent, and his numbers were there. He had not a great defensive season. He'll have to manage that, getting older and how that's going to look. And Xander needs to stay healthy and do what he did in the second half of the season, an entire season for the San Diego Padres. And then, you'll have a great nucleus to your team. It's there, but I don't think it's the manager who's going to find that. It's the players who find that. They're the ones who are ultimately responsible for their careers. We'll see what the Padres end up doing, though. Albert Pujols interviewing today. Presumably, Ruben Niebla, we don't know about. He could have interviewed yesterday for all we know. Could be later this week, could be next week. Have not heard any news, but he is assumed to be one of the candidates and is expected to be one of the people interviewed for the Padres open managerial position. Let's take a time out.
Sorry, I was just looking a few minutes ago, saw somebody in the chat mention that Silver Slugger nominations were out. And I don't know that that's totally accurate. I've been trying to find, last year, they didn't get announced until early November. There is a fan-sided, the website fan-sided, their finalists, but I don't believe that that's the actual MLB Silver Slugger finalists. But Cronenworth and Machado were Padres representatives on this fan-sided, their awards, but I don't think that's the official Silver Slugger award.
Does Rawlings sponsor the Silver Slugger as well, or they do the Gold Gloves? Because they announced all the Gold Glove nominees. And I have not seen anything from their Twitter account, so I'm not sure about that.
There is something going around. I don't think
I've not seen
official.
I have not
MLB
seen
list.
anything official either. So, yeah, but when it happens, obviously we'll let you know who the nominees are.
No, they said the Padres tweeted it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Padres.
They're official.
Silver Slugger finalists: Manny Machado and Jake Cronenworth as Crony as a utility player.
No, that makes sense. And so 3 nominations at each position in each league are Silver Slugger nominees. So Manny, one of the top 3.
So who's off that list already? Who's a snub that you would for the Padres?
Well, I don't know that.
Any? So I can tell you who got the nomination.
Well, who's Tatis?
Tatis did not get it. The outfielders
better offensive players in the outfield this
Corbin
year.
Carroll, PCA, Juan Soto, Kyle Stowers, Kyle Tucker, and James Wood.
All right. Well, you can't really complain. With
all
any
pretty
of those.
good.
Yeah, they're all really good. Manny almost surprises me, but it's just position based. So
yeah, it was him, Matt Chapman, and Max Muncy, and Austin Riley.
Yeah. So congratulations to both of those guys. So it's so dependent on who has a good season at your position on some of those things, which is why they're fun. But you can't point to, I was a Silver Slugger finalist one year. Yeah, because it was a really down year. Or sometimes Silver Slugger at a position is like, that was really impressive because, there were a lot of great offensive first basemen that year and you won the Silver Slugger. That's really cool. Other years is like, oh, you won the Silver Slugger at second baseman. That doesn't mean much. You hit like 260 with 15 home runs because no one else did anything. So that's interesting. All right. Thanks, Paulie.
You got it. We
need a contestant for Real or Fake. Do a little Throwback Thursday on a Wednesday. Chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas and Jerry Seinfeld tickets. Call now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. And we will play our game. And then when we come back, we'll do the Padres Smörgåsbord at the bottom of the hour. All ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Before that, though, I get to talk about sdfatloss.com. I lost not only the weight, 40 pounds in 60 days, but I feel so much healthier than I did. Probably as healthy as I've felt in 20-plus years, thanks to the weight loss at sdfatloss.com. Back pain is almost completely gone away, which is fantastic. I just love that about losing the weight, and I got to do it without any exercise or injections or counting points or calories, no prepackaged meals. I just ate real food from the grocery store and lost the weight, up to a pound of fat per day, 10 to 20% of your body weight in just 60 days. Find out how it can work for you by getting a free consultation at sdfatloss.com. Your counselor will explain how the program works and how they supercharge your metabolism. Doctor developed to lose the weight fast, and then you lose it sustainably. I've kept the weight off for 2 years. Doesn't do any good if you gain the weight right back. I have not gained it back. You can have the same success that so many tier ones have had. Thousands of pounds lost in San Diego, and you can get it all done before the new year. If you sign up now, you're going to get $200 off the fall special. Just sign up before October 31st to get $200 off the already affordable program. I mean, how much would you pay to change your life? I went through it. I paid for the program, and I could not recommend it more highly. sdfatloss.com. That's sdfatloss.com.
Okay, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Coming up, but Paulie first with the long-awaited clarification on the Silver Slugger Award nominations, which are real, by the way. They are real.
They are real. So I did not know that. Award season gets me every year because there's so many different awards and there's so many like similar awards. Like this is the player vote Rookie of the Year. This is the Baseball Writers Association Player of the Year and stuff like that. So just recently, like within the last few weeks, Fansided, I think they're like it's a blog network, I believe. They partnered with Louisville Slugger, who had sponsored the award, and they allowed Fansided to make all of the nominations, which came out today. The American League will drop sometime tomorrow morning.
Got it. I'm a media old head, so the Baseball Writers Association of America, to me, those are the legit ones.
I was trying to remember. I think last year we had the situation. It was the Rookie of the Year vote that was so close between Merrill and Skeens, and it was, I think, Merrill won like the Sporting News Rookie of the Year and the Player Vote Rookie of the Year, but the
real one,
one that goes on your resume is the Baseball Writers Association Rookie of the Year, and
Correct.
That one went to Paul Skeens.
The one that goes on your baseball reference page and back of your baseball card. That one, of course, will be Paul Skeens. We will talk more Padres coming up in just a few minutes. Any trade candidates on the Major League roster right now? That'll be our smorgasbord segment. Right now, though, let's play a little one-day early game of Real or Fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. You can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
Real or Fake, brought to you by Bay Alarm, security and fire alarms for every business. We got you. And yes, chat, it is Wednesday. Everyone's confused because Darren came on, they thought it was Friday. Real or Fake's on, they think it's Thursday. Eno's going to be on. They'll think it's Thursday again. It's Wednesday. But Woods isn't here, so we're going to play Real or Fake, and we got Brandon as our contestant. Hello, Brandon. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. All right. If you can get 4 of 7 right, you will qualify for our grand prize monthly drawing, a trip for 2 to see Jerry Seinfeld in Las Vegas, 2 tickets to his show on April 17th at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, and a 2-night stay at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, plus a $100 gas card. Jerry Seinfeld returning to the Coliseum April 17th and April 18th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. All right, here's what we've got for you today. With Toronto back in the World Series for the first time in more than 30 years, I thought we could make our neighbors to the north in Canada the subject of today's game of Real or Fake. You know, I love pointing out a good chain restaurant as we drive by, Paulie.
Oh, boy.
Canada, though, has its own list of chain fast casual eateries. I mean, they have some of the ones that we have, obviously, you know, McDonald's and stuff, but they also have their own chain restaurants. So today on Real or Fake, I'll give you a restaurant name. You tell me if it's a real Canadian chain restaurant or a fake. I've included for today's game. Brandon, you got it?
I'm ready, yeah.
No phone of friends because Woods isn't here, so you're on your own today. Round number 1, Canadian chain restaurant. Dixie Lee Fried Chicken, real or fake chain?
Fake.
39 locations in Canada. That one is real. That's all right. You've got plenty of opportunities left. Round number 2. Jimmy the Greek. Real or fake Canadian chain restaurant?
Go real.
It is over 50 locations.
Okay.
Get your Greek
Popular.
food north of the border at Jimmy the Greek. Round 3. Cactus Club Cafe. Real or fake?
I'll go real.
Is also real. I don't know how many cactuses they have in Canada, but they do have Cactus Club Cafes, 31 locations located throughout Canada. All right, let's go to round number 4. You've got 2 right, 1 wrong. Mrs. Kebab, real or fake?
Real.
That one is fake. No Mrs. Kebab in Canada, at least not as a chain restaurant. All right, we are 2-2 as we go to round number 5. You need to get 2 of the final 3 correct here. East Side Mario's, real or fake?
Hey.
East Side Mario's.
I'll go real.
Yeah, Italian, 85 locations. East Side Mario's. We are on the verge of victory here today on Real or Fake. All we need is 1 more correct answer. Smokes Poutineery, real or fake, Brandon? Smokes Poutineery.
Oh, man. They love their poutine. I'll go real.
They love their poutine. That's why I would totally fool you. But in this case, it is real. Congratulations, Brandon. That is 4 correct.
Well done.
Jack and Larry's Bar and Grill, Brandon. You want to go for 5?
I mean, it sounds real.
That one
is
doesn't
good
count.
enough.
You're good.
4
You're
is
good.
good enough. You're good to go. Stay on the line, Paul. I'll get your information during our break to put you into the drawing for our grand prize trip to Las Vegas. All right, we'll take a time out. You know what poutine is, Paulie?
No.
Poutine.
I've had it. I don't know what it is.
A Canadian delicacy originating in Quebec. It is French fries covered in cheese curds and
That's right.
gravy.
Okay. I was going to say it's potato based something.
French fries, not deep fried cheese curds, just like fresh cheese curds. So like bits of like tastes like kind of mozzarella cheese and then brown gravy that's poured all over the top. Not particularly my favorite jam when it comes to junk food, but in Canada, they love their poutine. We will come back and get to our Padres Smörgåsbord trade candidates on the 40-man roster. That is coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, trustandwill.com is the easy, affordable place to get your estate documents. Woods and I both did this very late last year. We were approached and said, "Do you guys have your will or trust in place for your family?" And we go, "No, we don't." And we were shamed a little bit by that fact because if you don't have your estate documents in order, you have no idea the world of hurt that you are setting your family up for. If you have kids and you haven't named a guardian, your like sister can't come in and say, "I will take the kids." The state will decide who gets your kids without a will in place. It really is irresponsible not to have one at this point. I get why you put it off. You don't want to go to a lawyer's office, spend a few hours, spend, thousands of dollars on legal fees. You don't have to do that with trustandwill.com. It's an affordable, quick process online. You do it all from home, answer some questions, less than an hour, And when you use the code radio20, you're going to get 20% off your trust or will when you check out. Already affordable. Take 20% off of that and get a real will or a real trust that keeps your family out of probate court. That can be months long, even more expensive, and keep them from your assets like your 401k or any properties or stuff until long after you're gone. So go to trustandwill.com. Again, use code radio20 at checkout at trustandwill.com.
Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
Don't forget, our biggest fan contest returns on Monday, November 3rd, but you can sign up right now. Our grand prize is a night in the Odyssey Suite with 20 tickets for you and your friends to watch a future Padres game with the whole fan staff. I mean, I can't promise that I'm staying the whole game. I have a lot of work to do, but I will stop by for at least a couple of innings, and everyone else will be there too. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. And then listen starting November 3rd when we announce names each day at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. for your chance to qualify. We were just talking about poutine during Real or Fake a second ago. A heavy dish, no doubt about that.
It's like it sounds like a Canadian version of like a biscuits and gravy type meal where you're just like, I am out of commission now for the rest of the morning.
I got a text. My wife, they put together special hot dogs for the Thursday night game, like featuring one of the opponents. So tomorrow is Vikings Chargers. So they're doing a Minnesota hot dog at the Regal Seagull. Sounds quite heavy. She said it is a hot dog with pulled pork, onion dip, and tater tots on top.
Too much for a hot dog.
Sounds
for me.
like a lot, doesn't it? Sounds pretty good, actually, too, though, at the same time. But you got to be ready for that one. You got to be prepared. We went to the Seagull last night, actually, after I got off work, had some wings. They were fantastic. And then I had a salad to go with my wings. Do you think that's a good compromise? I had 6 wings and salad. It's really like basically a salad with chicken, except
I guess
they're wings instead of
whatever you got to tell yourself.
Chicken. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a cheat, but also kind of a little bit of a responsible choice at the same time. And watched a little bit of basketball. Went down there while she was finishing up work and enjoyed some food at the Regal Seagull. All right, we got our Padres Smörgåsbord coming up after traffic. The topic today: trade candidates on your Padres roster right now. Ooh, coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
This game day traffic report is brought to you by Crystal Geyser, Alpine Spring Water. Still a few problems out here, guys. Got a collision being moved over to the right shoulder, northbound 805, right before Imperial. Been a while since I reported a ladder in lanes up ahead, north 805 at Murray Ridge. Watch out for it. It's in the slow lane. Also, westbound 8 before College, accident being cleared into the center divide. Traveling on southbound 5 coastline, accident clearing right around Manchester. That is over to the right shoulder. And eastbound 78, just past Los Pozos, accident involving a couple vehicles, including a motorcycle. It's over to the right shoulder. What makes Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water different? They always bottle their Alpine Spring Water less than 1.5 miles from the spring source. And all of their bottles are made with 50% recycled plastic from their own recycling plants. Crystal Geyser, bottled at the spring source. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Padres Smörgåsbord.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Call it something else.
I promise. I'm not doing this to be edgy. I'm really not.
Oh, man.
But
who do you want to trade today?
It tends to get people up in arms a little bit when I bring up this conversation.
Because every time the conversation happens, it's after we're talking about how great a season this player is on a team-friendly deal with years of control, and your first instinct is always, what can we get for him?
It's not my first instinct. I bring up this topic because A.J. Preller is the general manager of the Padres, and his default status is probably going to make some big moves.
Sure,
and
but
to
how many
make
times
big moves,
how many times does he trade big league talent? Very rarely.
It happens. It does happen. You can't get something unless you give something up. And the Padres have very little to give up right now on the minor league level. And they do have some areas on their roster to address, and limited money and free agency likely to address it. So is there a way to use some of your major league talent in a trade smartly to improve your team going forward? And that's the topic of today's Smorgasbord. Are there any players might surprise you that are currently on the team, were contributors, last year, that could be at least potentially traded this offseason? I think the answer is undoubtedly yes, they could be. There's no untouchables, but I think there's a handful of players in particular that could be in trade discussions. Paulie, though, I will let you have the honor of going first and bring up any names that you have on your mind and see if they match any of my names.
Okay, well, when you texted this to me yesterday as a potential topic, the first name that popped to my mind was somebody that did not make a huge contribution, but is on the 40-man, like fits all the criteria.
You're trading Joe Musgrove. I can't believe it.
No, I like Joe Musgrove. I'm like you. I don't want to just trade everybody.
You need too much starting pitching. You're not trading Joe.
You're not. Absolutely not.
And plus, you'd be trading low coming off surgery. No chance.
Yeah, I don't. That's bad idea.
Right,
bad
just
idea.
Making sure.
I'm going to throw Luis Campusano in there. I think his time, the Luis Campusano experience, is over in San Diego. I don't know that it ever really officially got started. Maybe things change with a new manager. Maybe that's one of the issues that were going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm not sure. I don't understand what his lane is. I don't know what his future is here in San Diego. I understand you're selling low by putting him in a trade or making him the centerpiece of any trade because, well, he didn't have a hit last year. But I still think, I don't know what the future is for him with the San Diego Padres. And I think that's a guy that at least maybe AJ can sell, because a lot of his job is selling. He sells his minor league system to whether it's Baseball America or other team scouts or whatever. He is constantly selling his players. I think he can sell to another team and they go, all right, there's some raw talent here. We can fix Luis Campusano. I think it's over. I think it's run its course here in San Diego, and I'm ready for something else other than, now we get to another season of catchers hurt. Are they going to bring up Campusano again? Like, I'm done with the experiments there.
Okay. Couple thoughts. You're not wrong. It's a very logigical choice.
I don't think you're getting a ton for it. It's not going to be your star, your big trade of this offseason.
But I also don't agree with who was it just in the chat? Said you got to get a bucket of balls for Campusano. There will be teams that are intrigued by his over 1,000 OPS in the minor leagues and will ignore a very small sample size in the big leagues. Luis Campusano has some value on the trade market, which is why I think it's possible he could get traded. Now, Adrian Preller said in his end of season goodbye Mike Schultz news conference that Luis Campusano is going to have every opportunity starting in spring training. Doesn't really mean anything when you say it in October.
Right.
We'll see what actually happens in the off season. But I think that one makes a lot of sense. If you can get something for him, you're certainly not afraid to trade Luis Campusano because you're essentially not giving up anyone that contributed to you on the big league level.
Other names I'll throw out, Wandy Peralta, I think is an interesting candidate.
I didn't pick him, but because technically he can opt out, I think he's going to opt in. If he does, then yes, I would say that you will listen to offers for Wandy Peralta. So in that sense, that is also correct.
I don't personally want to see it happen. I'm guessing Jake Cronenworth is on your list.
He is.
Is he the top player on your list?
I don't think Jake will be traded. Now you would be selling high again. He's a Silver Slugger nominee, Paulie.
How about put it this way? I think AJ will get a lot of calls. I think he usually gets a lot of calls about a Jake Cronenworth.
I think you need Jake Cronenworth.
I don't think he's looking to move him. I don't think
either.
He's calling other GMs and being like, "Hey, what can you guys give me?"
But if someone offers you an intriguing package, you have to listen. But his contract is not a bad one. Again, Silver Slugger nominee. He's versatile. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. I don't think I think
he's affordable, quite frankly. Everybody flips out about his contract. I think his contract was given to him at a point when it probably didn't need to be. He had like 4 years of control left, but he's not making a lot of money.
You handled the assignment well. You brought up all the names that should be brought up. I'm going to get a little spicier, though.
If you say Jackson Merrill, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to throw you out of this six-story window.
Who thinks I'm an idiot? I'm not an idiot. I'm not trading Tatis. I'm not trading Mason Miller. I'm not trading Jackson Merrill. I'm not an idiot. I want the Padres to win. But I do recognize that you have to trade value to get something back. And here are my three names.
I am terrified right now.
I will start with something that other teams covet and the Padres have a lot of. Relief pitching.
Oh, God.
Jeremiah Estrada, to me, is someone that, at least internally, and I don't know what they feel about Jeremiah. We love Jeremiah, but it's possible they feel like he's maxed out on what he can contribute. And he's got some control left, I think at least a couple more years where he's affordable. He would slot in most teams' eighth inning easily, if not as their closer, which gives a lot of value to other teams for a guy like Jeremiah Estrada. Now, you're not giving him away. There's no reason to give him away. Keep him, keep your bullpen strong. But if there was something intriguing you wanted from another team, I would be willing to discuss Jeremiah Estrada in a trade scenario this offseason.
My initial instinct, I think I see where you're coming from. And I think if I'm AJ Preller,
It also will save you a little bit of money. Yeah, I don't know how much what's his projected. Is he even arbitration yet? No, he's got one more year before arbitration. So that's high value for another team. A controllable, young, strikeout, swing and miss, relief arm that's not going to be your closer. And honestly, I don't know that Padres fans trust him even as a setup guy. You've got Mason Miller. You've got Jason Adam coming back at some point. You've got Adrian Morejon.
Yeah.
It's a luxury. If you can address another issue by trading away a luxury, I will talk about it.
I'm a little bit reluctant to pull from such a strength because then you're weakening that strength. I think I'd maybe be more.
No, that's fair.
I'd be more open to maybe like a David Morgan, even like a Kyle Hart, guys that showed you some.
Kyle Hart is not worth anything at this point. I don't think you're going to pick up his option. I think he's going to be a free agent.
He actually pitched okay down the stretch.
Just saying I'm saying like a $4 or $5 million option. I don't think they're going to pick it up.
They fall into that category of they've shown you flashes, they've shown you kind of something of what might be down the road. I don't know that I'm looking to move Morejon or even Estrada where they've really proven it at this level because Adams not coming back. Jason Adams not coming back till July, August, maybe even September. So you're essentially missing him all year long. So your bullpen's already taking a hit. Suarez is leaving. You got Mason Miller stepping in. I don't know that I'm looking to move any more high leverage guys than I already have to.
All right. I'm taking my glasses off because I don't want to even be able to read the comments. They get blurry when I take the glasses.
I can make them bigger
before I bring up the next name, which is going to make a lot of you mad. But I think you have to consider it. And he could have a lot of value right now, especially. And I don't know what your internal projections are for next season. Gavin Sheets.
Ooh. Didn't even think about him, honestly.
You got him for nothing.
Again, I go back to
flip him for something at this point. Now, you need power. Do you think Gavin Sheets is going to hit 30 home runs, given everyday playing time next year? Or is he going to be kind of a 15 to 20 homer guy? And if you're giving him a lot of DH at bats, honestly, that's not enough. I love Gavin Sheets and what he did. He saved the season in a certain respect this year. Is he going to get any better? Or is this the ceiling for Gavin Sheets? And could you get more for him in a trade then you will get production from him next year? I'm just asking the question. Just asking the question.
I think he's more of a 20 to 25 guy every day. Maybe not 15 to 20.
If he's 25, I think you keep him. If he's 15 to 17 and another team is really interested, I think you talk about it. You talk about it.
I need one more year of Gavin Sheets, I think. I look, it's similar to my argument.
A lot of control still. Three more years of control. I mean, that's an appealing thing. And you got him for nothing. He was a non-roster invite minimum guy, and you could flip him for something pretty decent. Starting pitching, maybe.
I'm looking
starting pitching.
I know it's easier said than done. I'm looking to move guys from positions of abundance. You know what I mean?
You're not abundant with power.
We're not abundant at all with power. Like I just talked about taking the strength, the best strength, the bullpen, and weakening it. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to do that. Power was very much a weakness for the Padres. I don't want to take the only guy that gave us any power and move him to another team.
It would hurt. Love Gavin Sheets. Derry Bonds. He was a fan favorite. The Holy Sheets chant all year long. Tough to, I'm excited about a full season of Gavin Sheets. An off season, a spring training. He can be comfortable going into that slot, knowing he'll probably be DHing a lot, maybe playing first base. But you can't close your ears and go, I'm not listening on Gavin Sheets. If he has value and you can get something like pitching, you got to think about it. That's all I'm saying.
You didn't disappoint me as much as I thought you were going to.
We'll come back with our Reindl
Unless you have
report.
anybody else on your list.
I might have one more name that's going to make you insane. I'll throw it in when we come back, just to finish things off. Maybe I won't. I don't want to be dragged.
Oh, God.
I don't want to be dragged. Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. All right. Since y'all asked so nicely, some not so nicely, I will give you my last name of potential Padres trade candidates that are currently on the Major League roster. Final hour, Ben and Woods. We got Reindl Report. We got a football threesome and Eno Sarris all coming up. So busy final hour. So I'll get right to it. And there's one person in the chat who knows me well enough. All these guesses I'm looking. No, not Yuki Matsui. You're going to have to eat his contract. I'm talking about guys that are actual, significant, would be a significant trade. Throw up Michael G. He said, looking at the roster, I would guess Ben's final name is either Ramon Laureano or Morejon, Adrian. If you're not going to extend Adrian Morejon, and you should, if you can, you should make every effort to extend Adrian Morejon. If you can't, you have to consider trading him. He is going into the final year before free agency. If you let him walk for nothing, one of now the most electric left-handed arms in any bullpen, you can't let him walk for nothing. So just by the business of baseball, you have to at least consider listening trades. I don't want them to trade him. I want them to keep. I want them to extend Morejon. But if you can't do that, if you need to spend your money elsewhere, then you have to at least think about it. My guess would be they will keep Adrian Morejon. If they haven't extended him and the Padres aren't doing well for whatever reason next year, he will be the most sought-after relief arm at the trade deadline in all of baseball. Again, hopefully the Padres are doing well and they can't do that at all, and Adrian Morejon remains with the Padres hopefully for a long time. But anytime a guy of that value is going into their last year and you're risking losing them for nothing, you always have to at least consider the possibility
of
a
off-season trade.
And even an off-season trade. 1 year left on a deal. You have to start making those tough conversations happen.
That seems like waving the white flag before you even get to spring training.
I don't like it.
If you get into the season with Morejon on your roster, and like you said, you get to June, July, and things just did not happen for you, and you're 12 games out or something, yeah, you make that trade 100%.
Yeah,
I don't know that you just punt your bullpen.
I don't think you're actively going, we need to get rid of this guy, but you can't stick your head in the sand.
Let me ask you this.
If you don't think you're going to be able to extend him, you got to talk about it.
We haven't really talked about it. How aggressive do you think they're going to be in an extension for Adrian Morejon?
I think fairly, but they also have to balance what.
Is he like the longest tenured Padre?
Can they address some of their needs more affordably elsewhere, or do they have to spend more? I mean, we'll talk about when free agency starts, we'll shift the smorgasbord to available players. I mean, I kind of have this secret dream. Josh Naylor, I'm coming back to San Diego. Preller loves him. He's going to be expensive, though, and you've got lots of needs to fill. Is there a spot to do that and extend Adrian Morejon and do everything you need to do? Those are conversations for another day. But I promised I'd throw out the name. I knew that it would stir up the hornet's nest a little bit, but there it is, Adrian Morejon.
Could have been a lot worse. You didn't disappoint.
Okay. Let's get to today's headlines that we missed. It is time for the Reindl Report. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
There we go. All right. It is the Reindl Report. Right. It is brought to you by your local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires. Let's see here, Benny. We will start off college basketball ramping up here, getting ready for the start of the college hoops season. And I saw a headline. This actually happened on Monday, and this confused me a little bit. I had to do some digging. The headline is just that a G League guard, his name is London Johnson. He's been playing in the G League, the NBA minor leagues, for lack of a better term.
G, what does G stand for, Paulie?
Stands for G League.
Gatorade, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It used to be the it used to be the Drew League?
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, so London Johnson has committed to Louisville in the 2026 class.
He's already a pro, though.
But he's a pro.
Yeah, he's going back to
how
college.
Is this happening? He's a 21 years old player. And so he's claiming he still has eligibility left in college. He forewent college. He skipped college. He went straight to the NBA, to the G League. He's been playing for the last 3 years, and now he's going to go play for Louisville. And I saw like a quote from Tom Izzo, who is losing his mind about this because Louisville is a team that he expects to be in the NCAA tournament. How are they getting former professional basketball players? And so this has all changed. If this was a headline 4 years ago, you would say, what the hell? You cannot do that.
LeBron still has 4 years of college eligibility left, by the way, just if he's interested.
So it's part of a loophole in this new world of NIL. The NCAA has clearly made a shift in how they feel about athletes making money and all of that. It used to be if you decided to skip college, you were done. You were going to the pros. You could not come back. And so this has all been changed now that players in college can get paid. So the NCAA says that most players in the G League, like strictly the G League, not back and forth between the NBA and their farm system, you're only making like maybe even $40,000 a year. It's a very low salary in professional basketball in the G League. So the NCAA considers that low of a salary as, quote, covering actual and necessary expenses like living costs, travel, and housing. If you make above what they determine to be necessary expensive, you actually would owe the NCAA money that difference. So they're saying he made such little amount of money, call it $40,000 a year for 2 or 3 seasons in the G League. We're not going to say that he's, quote, a professional athlete, and we're going to allow him to continue and keep his college eligibility. And I started thinking about it and I go, well, that makes sense. He's going to Louisville. I mean, if London Johnson was making $40,000 in the G League and he came to San Diego State, for example, I promise you all 5 starters in San Diego State, they're making probably the same, if not more.
2 thoughts. First of all, it would be hypocritical for the NCAA to allow guys are making millions now in NIL money and say that a guy who made $40,000 though, you no longer can play college basketball. Even though they're literally paying guys millions to play college basketball. So in that sense, but I think you're also opening up a can of worms here because testing yourself, even on the G League, you're playing pro basketball, 24/7, not 24/7, but you're playing against older guys, seasoned guys. You're learning from NBA coaches.
Sure.
Will that not be a great pathway for guys to go, play the G League for a couple of years and now raise my profile for college? I'll go back and get a truckload of NIL college offers now that I have this experience in the G League, as opposed to just being a high school kid coming out. Or like everyone just going to go the G League route if they're good enough and then go back to college later to make the real money once they get to school. That would be weird.
I don't know, man. It's look, I am fully in favor of NIL and athletes able to capitalize on this time and make some money. I have no problems with that whatsoever. But you're right. It's this weird shift in control and all of that. Like, it used to be you had to go to college for X amount of years before you were eligible. And now they're trying to incentivize athletes to go to college for more than just a one and done. And but with the NIL, you can make more money as a star player in college than you would have even as a first round draft pick in the NBA.
Saw Mark Ziegler reported that San Diego State cleared mid 5 figures for that exhibition against UCLA, which doesn't sound like much. They paid UCLA $90,000 to come do it, but after all the expenses and everything, that's just found money. That's like money we wouldn't have had. Like, okay, well, we just added, $50,000-$60,000 to our NIL fund. That's not nothing. So pretty successful venture for Brian Dutcher and San Diego State last week. Elisa in the chat says, Louisville is the most annoying city to say. Petition to rename Louisville. And I say Louisville because I had a college, one of my roommates my freshman year was from that part of the country. And he said it's pronounced Louisville. You almost like,
you don't move your tongue.
You almost mumble it. You just say Louisville. Louisville. Not Louisville.
Louisville.
It's Louisville. I don't know. So ever since he's told me that, I've always said Louisville.
What's the origin? Was it like King Louis and it's Louisville?
Probably. I don't know.
King Louis and became Louisville, Louisville.
Louisville.
Or is it King Wool?
Louisville. Well, Then again, maybe people there just don't like enunciating enough. I enjoy enunciating, so I would rather say Louisville, but apparently that's not correct.
Louisville. All right, we will move on. We talked about it earlier in the show, I believe, during Do This. You were giddy. You had your pants off because of the NBC intro to last night's tip-off.
Round Ball Rock,
opener.
baby.
Yeah, Round Ball Rock. It was great. There was also a moment later on in the broadcast, Mike Tirico, who was doing play-by-play, he had a sit-down with the GOAT, Michael Jordan, who is part of NBC's coverage of the NBA this year. He's an analyst.
You're going to be doing these like segments like Pathway to Great. I don't forget what it's called.
They never really defined, at least when the hire was made, like what his role is going to be. He's not doing like play-by-play or color commentary, but he's also not just in the studio.
Pretty out of the spotlight lately, but he said he felt like he owed back a little bit to the game to pass along some of the things that he wants to pass along, and this is his avenue for doing so.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, look, like you said, he's kind of off the radar. Michael Jordan is, for as big of a star as he is, and you don't hear from him very often. And so he did a sit down with Mike Tirico. We wanted to play this. It's like a minute-long clip, and this exchange with Michael Jordan is just outstanding.
Do you ever pick up a ball and just shoot?
I haven't picked up a ball in years.
No, come on. Just like walk past. There's got to be a hoop somewhere at your place.
You don't see a hoop anywhere around here, right?
I don't.
Michael Jordan is saying he has not touched a basketball in years.
They're sitting like in his house.
They're in Michael Jordan's home.
In his house. He says, "I don't have a hoop here. You see a hoop? There's no hoops here. I haven't touched a basketball in years."
That's hard to believe.
I know,
isn't it?
It's crazy. Continue.
Seriously, the last time you picked up a basketball and shot
I was at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And I rented a house from the owner.
Sure.
He came over to do pictures. He had grandkids. And I was meet and greet, thank him for allowing me to stay in the house. And he had a basketball court. He says, "I want you to shoot one free throw." I said, "Really?" Now, I already paid for the house. It's not like he got to see me. So when I stepped up to shoot the free throw, it's the most nervous I've been in years.
Stop it.
In years.
Stop it. Come on.
And reason being is those kids heard the stories from the parents about what I did 30 years ago.
Right.
So their expectation is 30 years prior, and I haven't touched the basketball.
I hope you switched it.
Absolutely. I got the most gratifying that made my whole week is that I was able to please that kid, not knowing if I could.
That was amazing.
Couple thoughts. Even for Michael Jordan, if you haven't shot a basketball in years, shooting a free throw is not easy. So I can see where, like, okay, I don't want to embarrass myself by, missing it in front of kids and the guy whose house I'm renting.
Right.
Secondly, why does Michael Jordan have to do a photo session, a meet and greet, and this guy is making him shoot if he's paying for the house? He said, "I paid for the house." You rented out your house from Michael Jordan for the Ryder Cup.
They must
but
have
you
known.
also want to get like, hey, Michael Jordan's staying at my house, so I'm going to make him do some pictures and make him shoot a shot.
Yeah, Ben Higgins is renting the house. I doubt him and his family are waiting there to greet you and say hi and welcome you to the home.
I don't want to see the owner at the house. I paid for this house. I don't want to see you. It's like the Nick Saban commercial where he's, his Airbnb.
All the rules.
Yeah, no fun. This is not a spa. Showers no longer than 5 minutes. If I'm renting your house, it's my house. It's not your house. It's my house now. I don't want to see you, especially not your kids, and making me, do tricks for you like I'm some, circus act. Oh, shoot a free throw, Michael Jordan.
I guess,
dunk, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that. I guess it's kind of just natural instinct. If Michael Jordan's in front of you and there's a basketball hoop nearby, you're like, I have to see it.
I gotta see this.
I don't want him to throw a football. I want him to shoot a basketball.
That is really actually kind of embarrassing for the guy that made him do that. But
extreme.
He's got a memory for a
highlighted
lifetime now, though. He's got his kids. They signed something. They get to see it.
It is embarrassing, but now it was highlighted on NBC for the entire world. So now I love that's Michael Jordan at its core. I hope you switched it. Come on. All right, we'll move on. I don't think we talked about this on the show, but earlier this week there was a major outage on the internet. AWS, Amazon Web Services, went down overnight. I believe this was on Monday.
I had the story when I was anchoring on 10 News, like McDonald's and Snapchat. A lot of different big sites went down because of AWS.
A ton of software companies, things that you probably use in your day-to-day, were affected by this major outage. They've had, there's been glitches or whatever, and Amazon, I think, does a pretty good job of keeping their systems online, but they had a major outage. And stuff like if you use Adobe Photoshop, like that's powered by AWS, that was down. We weren't impacted, I don't think, that morning too much here, but I did see a lot of corporate emails from the company saying like, hey, if this is down, like, it's being invested, they're working on it. So there was this big issue over the week, and I saw that a lot of us now have smart homes, or at least smart homes in some capacity. Maybe you can control your thermostat with an app on your phone. Like I can lock my door with my app on my phone. I don't even have to be home.
I can do my garage.
Yeah, you can do your garage.
Okay. It remotely. Yeah.
So even if you don't have like a fully smart home, you probably have some aspects of it. And there's a company called 8 Sleep. They make bed frames, beds, and they do the fully adjustable base that you can put your feet up, or you can bring your head up, or you can put both up. And
Still love my one that I got from Mattress Makers a few years ago. Yeah, I can raise up and helps me not
the adjustable
snore.
base.
And yeah, it's elite.
It's an absolute game changer. Our old bed, my wife had, we had to upgrade from a queen to a king, but hers had the adjustable base that you could turn on a vibration and had phone chargers. Like it's really, really, really cool. This company, they operate under Amazon Web Services, and so their beds all started to malfunction overnight on Monday. This says the outage happened right around midnight here on the West Coast, 3 a.m. on the East Coast. So most people
asleep
in America definitely asleep when this outage went out. And they said some beds moved from flat to seated positions, like the head part
like
of the bed frame.
So in the middle of the night, you were like being moved by your bed.
Maybe you're a night owl and you were still up and you were sitting upright with your adjustable base and you were watching some TV or reading or whatever. You were not able to move your bed down flat. You just had to sleep sitting upright or move onto the couch. They also said that these beds and mattresses and the bases and everything, they have temperature control. Some of them were not able to control their temperatures. One guy said his bed was 9 degrees hotter than it usually is, which I think is significant. I think you will notice that.
Yeah.
And so it was just a nightmare for some people. I really hope that maybe companies like that, this is a bit of an eye-opening, like, hey, we cannot have that again.
It would be so weird. You fall asleep laying down and you wake up and you're sitting up. I mean,
or you wake up and you're moving. You're like, what the hell is happening?
This is where ghost stories from the Pfister Hotel start, with random beds moving around. Maybe it's not ghosts. Maybe it's just AWS has gone out unexpectedly.
Stuff like that does concern me about how reliant we are on the technology that we use. Like over half of our light bulbs are smart bulbs. I think they're great. You can turn them on and off from anywhere in the house. You can, change colors and different degrees of brightness. It's great. But you're like, what happens if the power goes out? Or what happens if AWS goes out? Or, you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of screwed.
Analog, on, off, screw it in, screw it out. That's what it used to be. Now things are much more complicated. Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, our football threesome. Yes, you will think it's Thursday again, but might as well get to a little bit early. Preview the weekend coming up in the National Football League. We will do that next after traffic with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. And with the football weekend coming up, it's an opportunity to start setting your Prize Picks lineups, whether it's college football or pro football. You get all your favorite players that you can just pick more or less on stat projections between 2 and 6 and win real money just based on your sports watching. You're doing it anyway. Now, this is a chance to turn your knowledge into real cash, up to 2,000 times your money with Prize Picks. I hope everyone took advantage of last night's max discount. Steph Curry, basketball season's now underway, more or less than 1/2 of 1 point. That's a great way to start winning early with Prize Picks this weekend. Looking at pro options like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, passing yards or touchdown passes, more or less. Set your lineups however you want. Just make sure when you download the app that you definitely use the code KWFN to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code KWFN to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. With Prize Picks, it's easy to deposit and withdraw money with Venmo, Apple Pay, or MasterCard right back into your account after you win as soon as you request it, really within like 15 minutes or so. Very quick, very easy with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
Hey player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open. Hey, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah.
Eno Sarris going to join us in just a couple of minutes.
You okay over there?
Yeah, I hate that. I have, my browser is set up. I have usually like 9 or 10 tabs open just regularly with all different kinds of things. Some notes, our show rundown, Twitter, ESPN, the UT. I've got our ad copy, which is a different program that's opened, like 3 different emails.
I have a group of tabs that I open every morning because I use every single tab during the show. It's got like 14 tabs.
I just leave it open all the time because then it opens it up when I open the computer. It's all still there. I accidentally closed my browser. So now I got to set everything back up again, which is just the most annoying thing. Closed it. It's
manually close it. It won't give you the option to.
Yeah, if you accidentally shut it down, it'll say, do you want to put it back the way it was, which is great. I always say yes, but this time I couldn't do it. So now I've got to reset everything. But I got my notes up, and this is self-serving. We're moving the football threesome up from tomorrow, partly because I've won 3 picks in a row. I want to see if I can get 4 straight right. I'm on a winning streak here. So let's get to it. It is time for the football threesome.
Can Ben and Woods interest you in a threesome?
A threesome would be fun.
No, not that kind of threesome.
Talk dirty to me.
We're talking end arounds, the best tight ends in the world, and going all the way in this game of inches.
2 inches short, maybe less. Story of my life.
It's the NFL threesome with Ben and Woods, brought to you by Hamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place, on 97.3 The Fan.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
All right, our threesome every week is a look at tonight's, or in this case, tomorrow night's Thursday night game, the most intriguing matchup of the NFL weekend, and our pick against the spread. I don't know that I've ever gotten 4 in a row right. This seems like we're getting into uncharted territory, but we'll start with an interesting Thursday night game tomorrow night from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Paulie, the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 1-3 after their 3-0 start. So they've kind of hit a bit of a wall, dealt with some injuries, especially to their offensive line. The Vikings have simply alternated wins and losses, mostly with Carson Wentz at quarterback, with J.J. McCarthy hurt. Chargers are at home. They're favored by 3.5 points in this game. Do you have any thoughts on the matchup?
Not a lot, other than if I were betting on this game, we'll make our picks here in a minute. If I were betting on this game, I'd probably continue to fade the Chargers.
Okay. I may have to reach out with a text to our friend Kevin O'Connell and just say, hey, I don't care about the rest of your games this season. Can you just win this one for me? Please, as he comes back to Southern California to coach the Minnesota Vikings.
I will say, hopefully I never have to see those mustard yellow on yellow uniforms that the Chargers wore last weekend in LA against the Colts. It was like hurting my eyes to watch. Anytime Red Zone went to that game, I did not like those uniforms. I don't like any team uniforms when they do like just the alternate and it's the same color jersey top and uniform pants. It doesn't usually look very good.
No, yeah, but the Thursday uniforms tend to be the weird ones. Yeah. You remember in the offseason when we did randomly FaceTime someone famous in your contacts, and I tried to FaceTime Kevin O'Connell live on the air?
I do remember that.
And he didn't answer.
FaceTime roulette.
But they FaceTime roulette. And then he texted me back later and said, oh, you should have told me. I would have absolutely joined you at the time. And then who did Woods texted, or if he FaceTimed?
I think it was Skip.
From the off. Oh, I thought he did the guy.
From the
office. His friend from the office. What's his name? Anyone in the chat?
David Wallace,
David Wallace from The Office. And that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. FaceTime roulette was the scariest thing I think I've ever done on live radio.
That was terrifying. I think I tried Mud Grant.
Andy Buckley, yeah. FaceTime roulette. Don't even try it. It gave me almost a heart attack to even think about it. Most intriguing matchup of the week. Paulie, I will go with the Sunday Night Football matchup. The Green Bay Packers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's 2 good teams, but obviously the intrigue, of course, is Aaron Rodgers going back up against his old organization, the Green Bay Packers. Packers are favored on the road by 3.5 in this game. Will be plenty of storylines on Sunday night for NBC.
Yeah, Sunday night's always a good one to start. If I'm looking at the schedule here, I think that's probably the game that I would go with as well, just to be different. Monday night's a decent matchup with the Commanders at Kansas City. I'm just not super into that one. I will go with, how about this? NFC East rivalry. I will take the 10 o'clock game, Philadelphia hosting the New York Football Giants.
Okay.
The
Giants have been more interesting lately.
They're interesting enough. They seem to be in every game, whether or not they're going to blow a lead.
It's a good rivalry, too.
It's a good rivalry. Philly's beatable. Like, they're good. But
Got back on track after their 2
beatable.
losses, but you never know. It could be a blowout, but it could be a good game.
Yeah, I'll
see
go with that one.
All right, and then you already hinted at your pick. You're going to go with the Vikings?
No, I said I'm not picking.
Oh, you're not picking. I thought you said
did,
you were. I thought maybe you were hinting that you were going to. So
if
who are
I
you
did,
picking?
I will pick. I would have picked Minnesota plus 3.5. I am going to take, where'd it go? I had Buffalo minus 6.5 against the Panthers.
I thought about taking the Panthers in that game, actually.
Really?
I did, but because it was 6.5, I couldn't pull the trigger.
It's a high
You're on
number.
the right end of the hook there. Panthers they've won 4 in a row. They've been playing good lately. I don't know if we're sleeping on the Panthers or
Bills haven't played great.
And
I'm
they haven't.
expecting
Their
them
defense has been very bad.
I'm expecting them to figure it out and start to turn things around.
It does have the sense that I ultimately didn't pick it because it could be one of those reality check games for the Panthers coming up here where Buffalo trashes them. So I just stayed away
That's
from
one.
that
Maybe
one.
you stay away from it, but then when you check the box scores later that day and you're like, oh, the Bills won by 24 points. Of course they did.
I am going with the New England Patriots at home against the Cleveland Browns. Patriots are now favored by 6.5. They have won 4 straight as Mike Vrabel, Drake May have been hitting their stride, and the Browns are not very good. And I think the Patriots continue their roll, and I think they can win this game by more than a touchdown. So I'm going to go with the New England Patriots, who are making some serious noise as at least a strong playoff contender, if not a Super Bowl contender here in Mike Vrabel's first season as head coach. So that's my pick for going for my 4th win in a row. I'll take New England and lay the 6.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Good to go?
We're good to go.
All right. Eno Sarris will wrap things up with us with some Smart Baseball World Series preview talk coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 0000466. For a full list of games and rules, play at 7 Mile Casino. Visit 7milecasino.com.
Looking for plans this weekend if you want to watch football. They got TVs all throughout 7 Mile Casino. It's more than just a card room. It's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to have a meal. On weekends as well, you can enjoy the award-winning Saturday and Sunday brunch. Saturdays, Sundays, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You'll get the brunch that was voted the best in the South County, and you'll also get to do it from inside Sammy's at 7 Mile. 7 Mile is just great. You've got California-style blackjack, Texas Hold'em poker, Pai Gow, and Baccarat. Great card tables, friendly dealers in San Diego's best casino atmosphere. No smoke, no slot machines. Parking is very easy. You walk right in. You head over to the left to the cages to get some chips or sit right down at one of the tables in front of you. Play a little California-style blackjack that Woods loves. I like the Texas Hold'em and the Pai Gow poker. Either way, you cannot go wrong at 7 Mile Casino, and you don't have to get on a road trip like Woods did yesterday. I'm going to do later today to find your casino, because all you do is hop on the 5 freeway, head south, get off at E in Chula Vista. You'll already be there on the frontage road. That's Bay Boulevard, the west side of the freeway. Within moments, you are playing cards and not in your car by driving down to 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from downtown.
Okay, player, this is all yours. This room with this view. This speakeasy with this cocktail. Hey, could you make that too? The spa with this. Ah. And this pool on this roof. This is all for you. The all-new Hamul Casino Resort, now open.
7-3 The Fan is brought to you by IHOP, introducing the IHOP Value Menu, where all your breakfast faves are just $6 each every day. Where else can you get a big, filling, sit-down breakfast for only $6? Go to your happy plates with the $6 IHOP Value Menu, available every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Quick update. I texted Woods about 20, 30 minutes ago. You alive? Didn't get a response for a while, which worried me, but he is alive. Got a response. If we have time, I'll give you an update on how he's doing in Arizona. But we got Eno standing by. A little Smart Baseball World Series preview right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. Still a few problems wrapping up our morning drive. One of them is this hit-and-run crash northbound 805 near Plaza. Appears to be in a center divide, partially in that left lane. Up ahead, another collision right before Market Street. Those vehicles are over to the right shoulder. Also traveling on southbound 15 before Adams Avenue. Accident involving a couple vehicles. That's over to the right shoulder. Toyota of Poway has been voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today, with APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotaofpoway.com in the heart of San Diego. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's time for the super polished, yet to be named Smart Baseball Weekly segment with Eno Sarris, son of a bitch. Brought to you by 7 Mile Casino, just 7 minutes from the ballpark, by the bay in Chula Vista. Here's Eno Sarris with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We're really messing with people's minds in the chat today. Everyone, we're doing all our Friday and Thursday segments on Wednesday because we're off the rest of the week. But we couldn't not do a little World Series Smart Baseball preview with Eno Sarris, who's kind enough to join us a day early and maybe $1 short. Eno, I hear you're under the weather. I'm sorry to hear that.
You send these kids out into the world and they just gather germs and bring them back.
I know that feeling. Yeah, I got through it already. Woods is still going through it right now. All right, we actually talked with Richard Deitsch in Toronto earlier about the mood right now in the Blue Jays, and I brought up the fact that the Blue Jays are no one's underdog. But in this series, they can certainly embrace that role of underdog, wouldn't you say? Just because everybody is against the Dodgers.
Yeah, it was a big topic of conversation when we were talking about Brewers Dodgers and how the Brewers were the #1 seed and they'd won more games, and this was no David versus Goliath. And I was like, I am not a fan of the salary cap, and I don't think we need to talk about money all the time, but when the Dodgers spend that much and have that much in terms of resources, they're still Goliath. They're still the one that you have to overcome. And so, yeah, I think in this case, even with the Blue Jays spending a fair amount and being a really great team, the Dodgers with a rotation that people are comparing to the Braves rotations that I grew up with that created 3 Hall of Famers, That's something big. A lineup that has maybe the best player of all time in it, and a couple other future Hall of Famers in it. It's a really great team, and I have them as the favorite.
That's just like that Braves rotation. If Kevin Millwood could throw 100 and hit 50 home runs a season, or not.
I mean, Ohtani had maybe the best game of all time. We were talking on the Rates and Barrels podcast just about, how could you have a better game than the game Ohtani had, in which he threw 6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts and hit 3 homers that, totaled like 1,300 feet. I guess the only way you could do it is do something like that in the World Series. So. Hey, maybe we're going to see something even better.
One topic we haven't actually gotten to yet that I thought was interesting is the impending return of Bo Bichette for the Toronto Blue Jays. Is there a role for Bo Bichette not being 100% healthy that contributes some way in your mind in this series? Because we're not sure if he can play the field. You not want to knock George Springer out of the DH role to put him in a DH. How would you use him, Eno?
Yeah, this was a really tough one especially because George Springer himself is not even 100% physically after he got hit in the kneecap in the CS with a pitch that registered as a batted ball that everyone could hear the sound. So I'm sure that he's hurting, and you don't really want him running around the outfield. You just want him hitting. So if you don't have the DH spot open, and then throw on top of that, Bo Bichette was, I think, the worst defensive shortstop in the big leagues this year.
And Andres Jimenez is pretty good.
Yeah. So I wonder if you can't sell him on an early transition to second base. I don't know how mobile he is, so I don't know if he can even do second base. If he can't do second base, then he's a pinch hitter for you, although a pretty good pinch hitter. And with the way that postseason games go and the amount of bullpen usage that goes into it, I think you could find a place to use Bo Bichette in every game, but it may be limited to 5, 6, 7 plate appearances over the course of the entire World Series.
Talking to Eno Sarris from The Athletic, little Smart Baseball World Series preview here in our final minutes. When you go kind of roster to roster, pitching staff, bullpen, defense, offense, is there anywhere, I guess defense is the one place that Toronto probably has the edge. Is there anywhere else that you see that they have an edge over the Dodgers?
Contact. I mean, they were the best contact hitting team in the big leagues this year. So they'll put more balls in play than the Dodgers. And the bullpen, I think, is pretty interesting because the Dodgers have one reliever they trust in Roki Sasaki. And so you could almost give bullpen to the Blue Jays, who, did a really great job in the series against the Mariners. The Mariners let the same reliever pitch to the same hitter 25 times in the playoffs, and the Blue Jays have only done that 10 times. So the Blue Jays don't have a bullpen that's rated that well, but what they have done is just trust their guys, and they've used all of them. They've used 11 relievers in the postseason. The Dodgers have used like 2. So it's going to be a really different contrast in styles where the Dodgers are going to rely on that big rotation to go deep. And if the Blue Jays' contact ability can push any of those starters out of games, then I think that the bullpen quality probably points to the Blue Jays. So it's a pretty well-matched situation. It's just that the things that I care about the most, which is power in the lineup and the starting rotation, those things go to the Dodgers.
I can tell from your comments, it sounds like you were very much opposed to Dan Wilson bringing in Bizzardo against George Springer as opposed to someone else like Andres Munoz.
Yeah, I think it should have been Munoz. I mean, Munoz did not face George Springer once. I think that seems like a failure in managing to some extent. I mean, that's, their second best hitter and your best reliever. How did that not ever happen? So I would have brought in Munoz for 2, and of course that still leaves you open for the ninth inning, leaves you open for Springer coming back up, and Munoz being gassed at that point. So you might go to Matt Brash, and Matt Brash would have faced would have faced Springer a third time himself. However, the difference might have been that the bases could be clear. So in that situation, maybe Brash walks Springer and gets the next guy. So I just think that the game was on the line at that moment. You had bases, you had people on the bases, you had George Springer up, you bring your best reliever in, and you figure out the ninth inning later.
It really brings up a big question, I think, for the Padres next year. And, I was talking about it with our boss, Adam. How are they going to use Mason Miller? Will it be as a closer, assuming, Robert Suarez opts for free agency, or will they use him more flexibly? Like, okay, seventh inning games on the line, find the best matchups next year. What do you kind of see for Mason Miller, the best way to use him if he's not going to be converted to a starter?
I think the highest leverage moments in a game, or the most important moments in the game, still end up being oftentimes in the ninth inning. So I would suspect that during the regular season, he's a regular closer. But if they can manage to have this excellent bullpen depth again and get to the playoffs again, then I'd like to have a manager. We're talking about future managers for this team. I'd like to have a manager who has the flexibility to say, hey, I'm gonna pitch Mason Miller in the seventh here, and because I have such an excellent bullpen, I think I can figure it out in the ninth later. So I think that this is a way that the regular season and the playoffs are different. In the regular season, I think it does have some benefit for relievers to kind of know their roles and know when to get up and get warm, and know that they're, follow the game and be like, I'm probably coming up in the eighth or the ninth, But in the playoffs, everyone is just on high alert all the time, and the bullpen phone can ring at any moment. So I think that's a different beast.
Then again, you missed my earlier segment when I brought up potential Padres trade candidates on the Major League roster, and I threw out both Jeremiah Estrada and Adrian Morejon because he's going into his last year before free agency, and I think you at least have to listen.
Please, no.
I know no one liked that idea, but you also don't want to lose him for nothing at the end of the year. Now, I want an extension, but that's not going to be cheap.
No. We talk about it all the time. Sometimes you just get to enjoy a player for the last year of their contract, and if it doesn't work out, if they go their separate ways, you shake their hand and thank them for their year of service. But
is that smart baseball to do that?
With a team like this, I think you kind of want you're a win now team, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yep. I don't think any amount of trading Adrian Morejon's not going to help you deal with the fact that you have three $30 million guys on the roster the next year. So this is a team that should be thinking about one baby footstep in front of the other, I think. And for what it's worth, when I was talking about finances last week, I think I had double added arbitration. So they might have a little bit more.
Nice.
Than $20 million, maybe 30, 40, something like that. But what I do think is they're going to probably give the qualifying offer to Cease and King. We talked about this a little bit. Now, I was thinking about it more. I think there's a big chance one of them takes it.
I think it's good. We talked about it last week that one of them could want to rebuild their value with a qualifying offer. I don't doubt it. Eno, really appreciate it. We'll let you get back to your recovery, and we're always with you for smart baseball, but not to do our taxes, apparently.
Let's have a good World Series. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Eno Sarris, Smart Baseball, brought to you by 7 Mile Casino. Always appreciate Eno, especially moving up on a different day when he's not feeling that well.
So next Thursday, we'll Game 4?
It will be through Game 5 already.
Wow.
We'll be done with 5 games, getting potentially ready for Game 6, or the offseason will already be underway.
Next time we talk to Eno Sarris, it'll be like, all right, are the Dodgers going for the three-peat next year?
It could be. It could be. Although everyone we talked to today kind of said, hey, don't sell the Blue Jays short. They have a better chance in this series than you think. So a quick update. Woods is alive and productive. He's already had breakfast. He's gone to Dick's Sporting Goods. And he's about to concierge himself in Phoenix, going to meet an ASU student who wanted to talk about broadcasting. So Phoenix's concierge is doing a little meet and greet with a journalism student at ASU this morning instead of doing the show with us.
The guy is unbelievable.
He's always doing something. All right, that's it for us. Remember, tomorrow we got Best of Ben Woods from 6 to 8, Sam Levitt from 8 to 10, that tomorrow and Friday. So you get a little best of both worlds, but we will see you live on Monday morning at 6 a.m. For Paul Reindl, I'm Ben Higgins. Braden's coming up next year on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.